There we are. That's going to be better. Haha. Welcome, folks and friends, to Conversation with Chris. In our premiere episode, we take a captivating journey into the world of AI, machine learning, and some of the cutting edge technologies using AI today. I'm your host, Chris the IT Guy, and today we'll unveil our special guest, BusinessMemo. In this episode, we dive deep into the realm of AI, exploring its transformative potential and the remarkable advancement it brings. Together, we'll embark on an enlightening discussion uncovering how AI is reshaping industries, revolutionizing decision making processes, and unlocking new frontiers of innovation. Join us as we navigate through the complexities and possibilities of AI driven solutions, while also addressing the ethical considerations that come hand in hand with this powerful technology. With Business Memo's expertise and insightful perspective, we'll explore the dynamic landscape of AI, shedding light on its impact on our lives and the exciting opportunities that lie ahead. Get ready for a thought provoking conversation that will expand your horizons and leave you inspired. The possibilities that AI holds. Welcome to Conversations with Chris, where knowledge meets innovation. And together we embark on an exploration of the future. Let's meet Business Memo. Business!
Oh, Chris the IT guy.
Welcome in, sir. Welcome to the
Woo!
premiere episode. Let's just get an audio check from the folks and friends in chat. Can you hear
Am I good?
Business?
Is this good gains? Are the gains
Yes.
good?
Oh, the gains are thick, my friend. The gains are thick. It looks like it's
Oh my
okay.
gosh. And right off the gate, right off the bat.
Yep, we got Call Me Eve Gaming sliding in with a thick old raid. Welcome, Eve. Business a little louder than Crimps. That's probably for the best, but we can fix that.
Yeah.
2
I'll
seconds.
bring myself
No,
down
no,
a
no,
little
no.
bit.
You
Too.
don't touch a thing. I got you. I got you. Yep, that's right. You stay where you are, sir. Stay in your lane. I'm here twice now. Gross. You're hanging out with Eve too? Eve, welcome in. I had a chance to watch Eve's stream earlier, and it was fantastic. Eve was playing puzzle games. Wow, just like a ton of people are just getting their auto shouts here. We'll give a second for the things to flap. All right. So, business.
Mr. Crease.
How does it feel to be the inaugural guest on Conversations with Chris?
I am heckin' honored, sir. I'm very heckin' honored. You keep in advertising this. You keep calling me illustrious. I do not think it means what you think it means. Um, I'm
I mean, I don't know, Chad. I think he's got a vague luster about him that I would consider appealing.
Oh, Vio, you are too sweet. Thank you.
Isn't that gross? Like that. This is how it starts. Get used to it.
I'm not sure I'm ready, Chris. There are some wholesome people in this chat, and I try to be one of them, but I don't know if I will be. I hope I can be a recipient
Well,
as often as I turn it
I'll tell
around.
you. We'll just see what happens here. Business
Oh,
has a
thank you guys.
magnificent vibe going on. Well, hey, look. I'll tell you a little something before we give Business a chance to do a formal introduction. Um, when Business and I met for the first time on Discord to have our initial chat on what this was, how it was going to go down, exactly what it was all about, a half an hour conversation became a 2 hour conversation. So I knew two things. One, Business is a natural born presenter. And two, this subject goes deep. Wholesome or wholesome? I mean, why not both?
It is. Yeah, man. This goes deep, and I kind of wanna preface it
Yep.
by giving you guys a little like prepare for vertigo. So I don't know how far you go into this, but there's like a oh, that's really interesting. I was like, oh god, okay, that's really, oh wow, oh okay, oh okay, and then after you do that for a little while, you start bottoming out, and you go, okay, I'm starting to maybe feel like this isn't so overwhelming anymore. But all of that is to say, the existential crisis on this subject is all but guaranteed. Just ride it out. Uh,
That's a-okay.
at the end of the day, AI is a squeaky toy. It's a squeaky toy. I've heard it referred to as a rubber ducky. Heard it referred to as a squeaky toy. I think they're probably good terms for like what it is, because there's nothing mystical or magical or crazy, supernatural about it, but it is impressive. And once you understand how it works, it doesn't make it any less impressive that it works.
I couldn't agree more. Business, let me ask you the formative question. I want you to explain to me, like I'm 5 years old, what AI and machine learning is.
Oh my goodness. Well, so first of all, are you going to compare my answer to the pre-made GPT answer? Because the intro to this stream
Mm-hmm.
had
A
the
certain
aroma,
whiff, perhaps?
the aroma of GPT
Yep.
about it.
Yep, it did smack perhaps of GPT because, like, I did 100% render it out of GPT. I
Okay.
figured if anyone was going to identify that, it would be you. So that I want to talk more about that too, because like let's start with the like what is AI, what is the machine learning,
Sure,
and then we'll
sure,
get
sure,
into some
sure.
of those specific things because I've been futzing around too because I wanted to take myself from here to maybe here before this
Sure.
discussion,
Of course, of
and
course.
I've been having a blast. But let's hear it from the man himself. First off, who are you?
Oh my gosh.
Let's start
Okay.
with that.
As Zaphod Beeblebrox would say, I'm just this guy, you know.
That's as fair as it gets.
I'm just this guy, you know. Just I did undergrad and graduate school both down at Virginia Tech, both in mechanical engineering, and then just pivoted into AI systems and machine learning sort of organically through work, and have just been tumbling headlong down the rabbit hole over the last year or so, and then redoubled all of that in the last 2 months. Once GPT-4 came out, I started paddling just about as hard as I could to catch up to the wave. And now I finally feel, after about 2 months, 2.25 months of real hard pushing, that I'm finally comfortable that I've got a good survey of the subject.
That's amazing. And I know that you had revealed something to me that surprised the heck out of me concerning sort of how far you went in the world of education. I don't know if you want to share that with
Yeah,
our
sure. No,
friends here.
well, so I work with medical doctors, and I happen to have a PhD. So I
Yeah,
frequently find myself saying, "Yeah, I'm Doctor Mike, but I'm not that kind of doctor."
yeah. So we have an honest to goodness PhD here, folks. It's our first guest, and that knocked my socks completely off. I haven't recovered. I haven't worn socks since. So I'm getting used to it though. So yeah, we got someone speaking with a chonky bit of authority on this, but I'll tell you what, don't let that fool you. He's a really nice guy too. So let's go into that. Explain to me like I'm five. What is AI and what
What
is
is
machine
AI?
learning?
All right. So AI stands for artificial intelligence. Basically, just means that you're trying to get a computer to do something that humans normally do. And you can do that a whole bunch of different ways. You can do it through a whole bunch of different codes and architectures. One of the most common nowadays is called a neural network. And a neural network is kind of like what you've got going on up in your noggin, in your brain. Your brain has neurons inside it. Every one of those neurons has a whole bunch of inputs called dendrons, I think, and then the body of the neuron, and then an output, an axon. And the inputs, and then a transform, and then an output is one teeny little dot in the neural network. And your brain's neural network has billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of those in parallel, looping back on each other in sequence, just each of them performing individualized and specialized tasks. Right? You got that going on all the time. Good job, human. Well done, you. Computers can do a similar thing where a artificial neuron is just an input that takes a whole bunch of and it gives you an output, 0 or 1. You put a whole bunch of those side by side, and now you've got a layer. You add a whole bunch of layers, and you train it on what should come in and should go out. You start the basis of your neural network. And that's the architecture that a lot of the AIs that you hear about nowadays are getting built on, because you can readily use things like a big GPU or a big server cluster to big parallel training. You can build a huge model. It can be super complex, taking billions of parameters. But at the end of the day, it all works on the tiny little dots of neurons. Artificial neurons in the computer, real neurons in your brain, doing basically the same thing, trying to minimize the error of input to output.
So we have simulated real neurons in software, essentially.
Correct.
Interesting. So that seems to me to make sense, right? You've got these little things popping off, trying to guide input from an input into an output, and how that occurs is mostly due to the training that the model gets along the way. So that said, let's talk about, if we can, business, how we got here. The history of AI. Now, I know that this has been something that's been in the background for not like, you know, 5 minutes or so, right? You hear it's the new hotness all over the place,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not a
Mm-hmm.
single news broadcast goes by without Chat GPT this, barred that.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not the first time we've been experimenting with this stuff.
Far from it.
So we go back quite some time into the, as far as I could tell, in the 80s and 90s is when we first really started to pick this stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking a little bit about this during our discussion, how, there was a couple of players, but IBM seemed to be like right in there at the time.
IBM
Yep.
still is.
Yep.
They're a major player. Um, I think that their target market is probably pivoting away from where OpenAI's target market is, but we can talk about that in a minute.
Yep.
But yes, IBM's been big in the space for a minute now. Google's been, of course, big in the space for a minute now. Google TensorFlow, NVIDIA. I mean, back when I was in grad school, CUDA was just dropping for the first time, which I'm probably dating myself there. But yeah, the CUDA, which is the way that you can use your graphics card to do math. Like your graphics card is just putting images on the screen. Like it put pixel there, pixel there, pixel there, pixel there, pixel there. Like it's just doing math anyway. You can take that horsepower and apply it to other math. And if that other math also has a lot of parallel things, it just works really well on a GPU. Up until recently, we haven't really, like, humanity hasn't really had the necessary horsepower to load one of these models into memory and have it work and have it do the thing that you really want it to do in a practical way.
Yeah.
A stupid, and by that we'll learn what stupid means, I'm sure, over the course of the next hour or two, but like a stupid AI barely runs on a 24 gig 3090. Barely.
Yep.
I've got a 3060 and I'm limping at 12 gigs of VRAM. The 24 gigs of VRAM in the 3090 is just barely what you need. And I just can't cut it. So
Bit of a
cost
barrier to
computing
entry
power.
there, eh? Yeah.
Yeah. And like from an industrial standpoint, you scale that up to where, a person like me says, man, I got to make an investment to actually have this work. Scale that up to the business level. That's kind of what happened recently, where Microsoft and OpenAI partnered together, and IBM before them a little bit, but everyone sort of decided in their own way that now was the time that we have enough compute power. Let's just see what kind of models we can build. Let's just see what kind of AI we can spin up out of this thing. So the next question that you had alluded to a moment ago is, well, what do you train it on? What do you train the model to do? You could, so all the model is taking an input and trying to minimize the error to an output. So like you give it the word hello, and then you give it billions of other records that follow the word hello. And eventually it gets pretty good at predicting what's going to follow the word hello.
It
And it
does.
minimizes that error and it fills in the next thing. That is literally all that's happening. The fact that it is so apparently sentient is a function of how many connections it's making in the language,
Yes.
not necessarily what it is, quote, thinking, unquote. That's a really important distinction to make here.
Hmm. Say that one more time for the folks in the back of the room there, business, because I think that's a key. That's a key
Yeah,
point.
I want to get that out of the way
Yeah.
early. I want to make sure that we're pretty clear on that. These systems are only trying to minimize mathematical error, right? And as such, they're not thinking, they are not contemplating, they are just giving text that they think follows the text that you gave. It will make sense. It will look like sensical text. It will read like sensical text. It will
Yeah.
make total sense to you. But it's just math. That's all it is.
Now, during our discussion, you had alluded to a very specific phenomena that occurs while it's doing this process, especially in the case of, say, ChatGPT.
Love the phenomenon.
And I'll tell you some of the experiments that I tried on this one. And let me tell you, my trip into this particular analogy went deep. But
Oh, I want to hear more about that.
I will absolutely tell you more about that. But what I would like you to do is talk us through what you would refer to during your discussion as hallucinations and the very
Hallucinations.
specific term that you have coined, which I rather love.
Thank you, Chris, for teeing that up. Um, yes, it's fun to see the forest for the trees. So the model wants to minimize error from input to output.
Yeah.
If I give it the word hello, and then billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of records about hello, some of those records are going to be like, hello, my name is whatever, I like whatever. They'll fall into that sort of bucket. Some of those records are going to be, hello, how are you? What's your day going like, in a more conversational format?
Yeah.
Others might say, hello is defined as a greeting that yada yada, like a more literal definition. All of those are good completions for the system to pick for the word hello.
Yeah.
And that's what the system is doing. It is completing text. However, it literally is just predictive text, Saluna, just
Yeah.
scaled up.
I saw that pop in the
Scaled up.
chat and I'm like, yep. That's very much it.
It's just that, but it does that at such a large scale that all of the meta connections that it's built become indistinguishable from sapience. Not sentience, but sapience.
All right. I have a rule here, and I know this is the first time we're doing this, but my rule is like anytime I write documentation at work, if you use a term, you gotta define it.
All
So
right.
you had just mentioned something, and I believe that was meta network. Did I catch that correctly?
Of meta structure, of
Meta
meta
structure. Yes,
connections.
thank you.
So like in the neural network, you might have a single layer that's just a bunch of inputs and outputs, and they're all flat together and they go out. In your brain, there are feedback loops, things that go back into themselves. And meta structures are sort of, in my parlance, or in how I've heard them, in these neural networks are predispositions or ways that neural network, you say your garden path, the well-worn garden path, right?
Yeah.
Preferred path. So shut, yes, it's a much larger permutation for the follow-up. So I guess, Chris, to say, like, if to go back to hallucinations,
Yeah.
when you say hello, you're expecting the system to give you a response.
Yeah.
The system will give you a response that probably makes sense, but it's going to give you a response and it might not be the one you expected.
Yeah.
So, as an example, at one point, I asked the system, give me 10 references for this subject. And it gave me 10 references with authors, and published years, and subjects, and summaries. Just like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. Let me go find that article. And it doesn't exist.
Oh, I love this.
Because the system gave me something that looked like the right thing, even though it didn't give me the right thing
Yeah.
in terms of what the number of connections that it needed to make and how it needed to break down the tokens and what it needed to do to understand, oh, this isn't asking for example citations. This is asking for a cited explanation of the subject matter.
Yeah.
And that distinction, it might think, give me an example of an afternoon schedule instead of give me a copy of my schedule for this afternoon.
Yeah.
Depending on how you phrase it, the machine might give you pretty different results. And I was remarking to my wife recently, it's amazing in retrospect how much of our communication, and to you as well, how much of our communication is refinement,
Yes.
is clarifying, is asking, is engaging, is saying, like, this is what I
Yeah.
meant. Did you mean, are you sure? Oh, that's not. And that back and forth, so much of human engagement takes up that space.
Yep.
You don't have as much luxury in terms of interacting with a language model as you do with a human.
Yeah.
So you'll get hallucinations, but it's just the system trying to minimize error. So the term that you had asked about, like when I think it gives you results that make like text sense but not real world sense, I call that the forest of bullshit.
I love it. I love it. It's such a good term.
Because it is taking a path that gets it to the finish line. It knows this is the thing that this is the minimum error function. I'm going to solve this problem. And the path that it takes doesn't have to have the rules of, no, I need you to make sure that the sources are cited and that there's an actual journal behind this and that was written by a human at some point. It just goes straight for the goal.
Yep.
And I think that path can take it through the forest of bullshit where it just makes up something that sounds reasonable.
Yes.
I've found some AIs are way more prone to that than others. Everything up. So my experience, and this is just my personal experience, I'm not advocating for any one of these systems. I've tried several of them myself. I've generally found GPT-4 to be the least hallucinatory. It generally stays on the rails as good as anything else. Google Bard started a little hallucinatory, now has stabilized in recent weeks. That's how fast this is progressing, by the way. Just to give you all a heads up of like how much your finger has to stay on the pulse. Google Bard rolled out image recognition, I think, yesterday. GPT rolled out web browsing mid-May. It's been a whirlwind of competition to featureize all of the different AI models that are now out in the wild.
Yeah. If you're putting your finger on the pulse, you're going too slowly. You need the smartwatch on the pulse, man. Like, you just need to be that attached to it. It's crazy. One of our mutual YouTubers, Joe Scott, recently put out a video that was actually very timely because it covered a lot of the stuff we're talking about today. So that's certainly a perspective to look at that. Business and I started this conversation like a month ago, right? And then I guess Joe got into it and he's like, I'm going to do this AI thing. Nah, I love Joe. He's super good creator. But I was watching his video today because I'm like, you know what? I want to just take a look at what he produced with this. And like, our conversation put me so much further ahead on where Joe was coming in with this video that it was just brilliant. But I want to share my Forest of Bullshit story. So
Please, as you mentioned
Yeah.
this, that you saw it go off the rails.
Yeah.
Where did it crash? Tell me.
And you know what? The funniest thing is, it's in a bit of esoterica that is so small, there might be 5 people in chat who have even heard of this. Are you a fantasy reader at all?
I occasionally, my wife
You
more
dabble,
than I.
perhaps?
My wife more than I.
All right.
Which series?
There's a book series which is called the King Killer Chronicles, specifically Name of the Wind and Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss.
Hey, honey. Hey, hun. Yeah. Patrick Rothfuss. Yeah. Familiar? Yeah. Killer, Kill
King
the
Killer
King?
Chronicles.
King Killer Chronicles? Yeah. Have you
Okay.
read them before? Yeah. Okay, fill me in on them later, would you please? Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
She has read them before.
Yeah, I heard the familiarity in that, and that means that your wife and I can be friends, because this is
I hope so.
This is like my favorite book series. Totally. What are we getting? Book 3. Fear is the Little Death. Oh my goodness, that's a Dune reference there. Yep. But absolutely, right? And when are we getting book 3? But that let me explain. So in that book, there is a main character named Kvoth, Kvothe, right? Kvoth goes to the university where he's going to learn higher order magic, sympathy, what the hell, math, science, that sort of thing, right? A bunch of other stuff, sigildry, like being able to carve runes, that sort of thing. And he's got a series of teachers that are called the Masters. And the Masters have powers among them, right? You don't become a master at the university without having a certain amount of power. So this actually took 2 things in that we discussed. I wanted ChatGPT to assemble for me an XML structure of all of the Masters from the university. And it got surprisingly far down the road. But there's one particular form of magic in that particular series of books called names. And if you know the name of something, you can control it, right?
Mm.
So Kavoth is studying or is trying to learn the name of the wind, thus the name of the wind, and he calls the wind and that sort of thing. But each of the masters know different names. And I asked it to assemble for me a list of the master, what subject they teach, and what names, if any, they know. Right? And I read through it, and it got me the masters. Though it did call Elodin, was one of the masters who was formerly the headmaster, but due to a circumstance became just a teacher. I'm not going to spoil that for anyone. But they called him the headmaster of the school when he wasn't at the time.
Okay.
That's fine. That's okay, because he was the headmaster at one point. When it came to the names, it assigned some names and some strange things as names, and this was the trip to the Forest of Bullshit. So, there's the name of fire, the name of iron, the name of wind, name of bone, etc. But one of the teachers, Master Lauren, who runs the archives, he's the head of the archives. He got assigned the names of books and knowledge, and I'm like, okay, so without the full background, that would be like saying, the name of the banana, right? Like, it's just so ridiculous.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, it pulled together
librarian?
details. Yep, world's best librarian can control books with a single word. Also, I asked it a question about a plot point that is unresolved at this point as far as the books are concerned. And I've read the 2 books, and I'm reading Slow Regard of Silent Things right now, which is another story. Where did a certain sword come from?
Okay.
And it came up with what I would consider a plausible explanation for it. But there's not a piece of literature out there, except maybe fanfic, which possibly talks about this. And yeah, is it esoteric enough where you wouldn't necessarily know? Like, would I know if I hadn't been as deep into the book series? Would I know it was weird or wrong? Probably not.
Sure.
The AI just said, I need values here. I got to do something about this.
I need to get that.
Yep.
And there's almost so there has been, the longer I work with these systems, the more I appreciate how much structure I know that the folks at OpenAI have built into this
Yep.
system behind the scenes. So like the language model is just trying to tell you what words follow which other words. Like it's
Yeah.
not it's not a smart robot,
Yeah.
but it does remember things. It tracks things in the
Yep.
conversation. It can do logic. It
Hmm.
seems like okay. So how how do you how do I start squeezing value out of this
Yeah.
without thinking that it's more than it is, because
Yeah.
it really is just text completion.
Hmm.
But when you've got that context, it makes the hallucinations a lot more understandable. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you were just trying to solve the math problem.
Yeah.
Bless your heart.
Yeah. So just a quick note to chat here. Baby Bat, I may or may not have a possible way for you to get that audiobook. Just saying. Talk to me after stream. Um, as
It
far
took me a
as
second to figure out what that term was.
really, okay, yeah. I mean that
Baby
Vio's,
bat.
yeah, Vio's nickname's Baby Bat because
Aww.
of, well, at least I call her that.
She is. She's a purple bat, but that it is a
Indeed.
term of affection or endearment is super cute.
Well, I mean,
See?
look,
See? I'm being wholesome in your stream again. What are you
you're
gonna do
being
about it?
wholesome and you're doing text completion, so stop it.
I'm being wholesome in your stream again.
Yep.
Stop me, huh?
All right. So I think we covered reasonably well sort of what AI is, what it's all about. And I think we've gotten sort of a like how did we get here? Like what did the early days look like? Obviously it goes deep. You could find specific examples, I'm sure, all over the dang place. I think we covered a little bit of this topic, but as far as the state of current research, where we're at right now, we're doing a lot of large language model stuff. Um, I'll shoot for a definition of that and you correct me violently. So, a large language model is just let's take petabytes of data and throw it at this thing as reading, just like here, eat, take all you want, go for it. And then that's what it uses to build those neuron connections within the model.
Not far off.
All right,
You're darn
keep me
close.
straight.
You're darn close. I would say that maybe the biggest difference is petabytes. I don't know if it's petabytes. Maybe. Maybe not. So
Hydrate, my
if
dude.
you
Tell me
imagined and
hey,
brace
business,
yourself.
get on this. You need a drink.
We hydrating, my dude.
Mm-hmm. It is the
Thanks,
law.
Luna. Yes, my hydrate was so good I forgot where I was in the middle of the
Knocked
sentence.
you right out of right off the train. Yep.
It took me right off the sentence. Boom. Large language models.
We'll get to that question in just a second. That's a great one.
Good question, Shut. You feed them input text and you feed them output text, and their computer brain learns how to minimize the error between the one and the other.
Yeah.
So some of the things that they will feed the model are chat dialogues.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you? I'm fine. And each of those would be a message and a completion. The chat history would then become a message, and the next message would be the completion, and so on and so forth. So like you can use chat data for this application. You can use books. Here is a paragraph of text. What's the next paragraph of text in that book?
Yeah.
Here is a page of text. Oh no, ooh, hang on, I'll help you, Moggs. Ooh woo? How's that?
Needs some work. That's all right. We've got an expert ooh in chat.
She is that.
Oh yeah. Oh my
gosh. So like different sized chunks. There it is. There it is.
Different sized chunks.
Different sized chunks of text, and then predicting what text comes next. You can do that with chat, of course, really easy. You can do it with books, chunking it up into paragraphs. You can do it with scientific papers.
Yep.
You can do it with a whole bunch of things. Movie scripts, Library of Congress. You just, here's a chunk, bleep, feed it into the model. Here's the next chunk, boo, model. Learn how to get from here to there. And you just do that billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of times.
Yeah. Casual.
It
Thank
sounds
you very
boring.
much. Appreciate that. Sorry, go ahead, business.
It sounds boring, and it is, but computers are really good at boring stuff.
Yeah. Okay, let's swing back for a second and talk about Shut's question, because I think this is an amazing one. Because Shut, it's kind of already happening, but I will explain. I will let business explain. The question was, with the speed AI is currently moving and evolving, do you think it will eventually be able to be introduced into robotics? Business, would you like to fill us in on that?
It's gonna take a minute, and it's gonna need a bridge from both ends.
All right.
For us to get from here to there.
Okay.
So we're Shut to say, like, Shut, are you asking, like, are we going to see AI assisted robots, or are we going to see robots that can do complex tasking that you would normally need a human to do, and therefore, like, the robotic behavior itself is AI? Like, there's kind of a small distinction there. I'm trying to see which way you're going with that one.
Verifying robotics, manufacturing robotics for complex tasking.
That is a big yes.
Yeah.
And that is a big yes.
It's actually happening right now.
Boston.
Yep.
Boston Dynamics, those spooky folks up in New England, are gonna invent Terminators, and I if they could just slow it down just a little bit, guys. If you're watching, just like 10 years. If you could avoid putting laser cannons on them for a decade, just a decade, okay? Please, just 10 years, okay?
So what I think of when I hear this, and sorry, 2 seconds, all of those videos that you see on YouTube about predictive AI model learns to bowl, or predictive AI model learns to complete this video game, or whatnot. That's like just a mechanical layer away from being IRL stuff, right? I think of those little soccer robots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Little tiny soccer bots that taught themselves how to play soccer through just repeated training, just generations and generations of learning how to kick and stuff. That's
here is a kick. Did it get the ball where you wanted it to go? Yeah? Great. Remember that. No? Also great. Remember that. And it remembers every single time.
Yeah.
Now, the difficulty there is...
Thanks, Eve. Appreciate you.
Eve, I love you. This is where we want to get into, I think, the next term that we're dancing around. That's emergent behavior. So you watch Boston Dynamics robots, and I don't know, maybe someone will find a link and throw it in Discord. Bye, Eve. Have a great night. You'll see Boston Dynamics robots, like the dogs, just like doing a little dancing around. And now they've got the bipedal robots that can like carry packages and jump off of obstacles and move around with them. Truly wonderful and terrifying things that they're building up there. But so, like, the dancing itself is not the behavior that they coded into the robot. They coded the robot the ability to move in a way that makes sense for its frame.
Yeah.
And then made it solve the task of minimizing the error function to these choreographed steps. Yeah. And it learned to quote dance quote. It's not emoting.
Good night, Mug.
Night, Mug. It's not emoting. It's not feeling. It's not being imaginative with the dance. It will do that dance every single time. The dance is emergent because of lots and lots and lots and lots of tiny little interactions in the system. A flock of birds is a great example.
Mm-hmm.
Looking out. If you touch grass, not sure if anyone touches grass. I hear it's great. Um, and when people are outside, they tell me when they come back in that there are birds out there,
Yeah.
and that these birds will flock, and that none of the birds knows where the whole flock is going.
Yeah.
But every one of the birds is doing a good job following a set of rules about how to fly around its neighbors. The emergent behavior that we see is, quote, flocking, quote. But the result of flocking is purely a function of lots of little stupid brains doing one task pretty well.
Oh my goodness. So Shut had followed that up asking if we could eventually see products doing things like custom welding or what have you.
Ooh.
I would say you're a couple of years off from that, Shut, but I would say it's probably going to happen. But that is a spatial awareness thing. That is a very specialized learned model. And there would have to be a reason to train a model to invest in the time to do that. And like the only thing I can think of is automated undersea pipelines. Right? That's yeah. So AI vision systems, even getting into stuff like PyCam, can start to take that as an input and then process it through the network just as easily as you would any other file. So if we take a look at the the art applications out there, the DALL-E's of the world, etc., it's just like taking that, but then feeding that information from the visual system through these models that would then reinforce a desired output is how I would explain that. But
So at Shut, spatial awareness is why I was asking about it. There's actually a recent, um, it's probably more in the space of like geoconservatism, but I think that the funding is going to come from search and rescue applications of a cave exploring robot that can snake its way through complex environments by using on-body lidar, and in its machine brain on board, figuring out what's around it and where it can go and how far it's gone and where it likely needs to go from here. Um, that's in development today, purely in proof of concept dev phase, but probably maybe another year or two before you start hearing mainstream news stories about it.
now that's an interesting segue right there. Because I wanted to touch on what the future holds, where this is going to go.
Oh, you don't want to ask that question this early, Chris.
All right. Tell you what, let's come back to that. Let's have some fun.
It'll all end in tears.
That's fair. That's fair. This is the Chris the IT Guy stream. This is Conversations with Chris, our premiere episode. If nobody's crying, we're not doing our jobs. But let's keep that. You're right. Let's hold that for the minute. My next point that I wanted to bring up here, and we had a good discussion about this when we were talking. And that discussion was ethics. You had a very great philosophy here, and I want you to share that with the rest of chat as to how you perceived your interactions with an AI. Because I think this is the basis. This is like the basis of where things start to get a little bit weird. But I think the way business lays it out is a good way to phrase this conversation. So you know what I'm talking about here, right?
I think I do. Yep.
All right.
Training biases, both good and bad, and then explicit correction.
Yeah.
Are two ways that you can guide the system. So here's let me just give you a for instance. If I only ever trained a language model on chats, you would expect it to be really good at responding to chats and maybe not so good at generating narrative prose or giving scientific descriptions, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So, and interestingly enough, there is one such model out there today. It's called Pygmalion, which is based on Facebook's released model Llama.
Oh,
Um,
llama.
Llama. So there are a few. I should back up because there's a whole bunch of picture to the tree of it, like here's what language model spawned from where, but like I don't want to bog down chat with that. I
Yeah.
want to talk about the interesting stuff. Um, so like rotating back,
Okay. 2 seconds, business, because Wally asked
hit
a
it.
hell of a question here, and I want to just take a copy of this. We'll come
Yeah.
back to it, Wally, but
Ooh.
I'm curious about that myself, so we'll come back to that one.
Wally, I'm gonna go ahead and assert that the human who uses the AI tool is the one who creates the content, with some notable exceptions. Um, and I'll say that, and I'll enumerate the notable exceptions, an attachment to the ethics part. So, Chris,
Yeah.
in the text model, if you only fed your text model chat, it would probably be pretty good at responding to chat.
Yeah.
It's like, "Hello, how are you? I'm good, great. What do you want to eat for dinner? Water, hydro homies."
Yep.
Um, so what you feed it will prime it for the task at hand,
Yeah.
or it will train it for the task at hand. OpenAI did a wide sampling of data types into their model,
I dare
and
say.
and that variety I think shows in the responses of the model, where it can kind of do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Um, Other models, Pygmalion, are really only suited to one. Like, if you need an interactive chat thing for users, it's Pygmalion. Or
Yeah.
it's, if you need an instruct model, it's Wizard. Or if you want something new that's truly open source, it's MPT7B. Like, you need to kind of learn the environment, because what I'm telling you today is just not going to be relevant in 3 weeks. Just facts. Like,
Yep.
just facts. So what you train the model on determines what it outputs.
Yep.
Okay. Ethical stuff. If I trained the model on Reddit threads, depending on which subreddits I used for my sample data, I might get a language model that did not give me very nice responses.
Yeah.
I might get a language model that gave me hate speech,
Yep.
or gave me ad hominem attacks, that was rude to me, that was not nice.
Yeah.
And the first hurdle in building these systems is overcoming the question of, how do I teach you the system, the model? How do I, the human, teach you the model what this text is and how it connects, without you thinking that it's the right answer? Right?
Yeah.
It needs to understand what hate speech is, without being trained on it so much that it thinks hate speech is the right answer to the math problem of what text comes next.
Yeah.
That is layer one of ethics.
Mhm.
You make sure that you're only feeding into the system things that you want the system to be able to return back, because it will. It is a rubber ducky.
Yeah.
Casual nerding. I didn't hear that story, but that is.
Yeah. Well, there's anecdotal stories about, bots dropping hard ends and stuff like that during chat exchanges because they didn't put that fence around the inputs. And I think that that's either a symptom of emerging technology or just gross incompetence on training a model. I think it's one of the two. It could be both, but
Could be.
like if you're not putting your fences up, you're not restricting your model training,
Mm-hmm.
you're at fault for that.
There's so much. There's a lot of Everesting. There's a lot of Everesting. For those
Yeah.
of you that are unfamiliar with the term, the Everesting is just doing something because you can do it. It is not a smart thing to do. You should absolutely not climb to the top of that mountain. That's a stupid decision. It's incredibly difficult. I applaud your ability to do that. Don't do that thing.
Congratulations, but don't. Yep.
Good job. Stop it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of Everesting in this space where we realize that we can do this thing, and we're the dog that caught the car.
Yeah.
It has really surpassed our expectation in a lot of those ways. So
Yeah.
ethics layer 1, you train the system on robust data so that it knows from what, without it thinking that the bad stuff is the right answer.
Yeah.
It needs to know what bad stuff is without thinking that it is the common, i.e., right stuff.
Yeah.
That's not enough. That's not enough. That is not even remotely enough. These systems will still hallucinate wildly. They will still come off the rails. They will provide not just ethically dubious, amoral responses to users, unchecked, without any sort of guidelines or safety guards or parameters. They have been reported to encourage users to do things like commit crimes or self-harm. The AIs, when there's no guardrails, they will provide explicit feedback. They will talk about how to commit a crime, or how to do hypothetical bad things.
Yeah.
If you ask GPT to do that, you know the first words that are going to be out of my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
As an AI language model.
Yeah. Yep.
It knows. So that right there is the human reinforcement learning.
Yeah.
Where they've had human beings sit down with it and type to it and get its responses and smack its little robot fingers and go, no, that's a bad robot. We're not racist. We don't tell people to hurt themselves. That's a bad little robot. And they do that enough. And eventually they give the neural network enough reinforcement in the right directions that those pathways that end in the wrong stuff get deprioritized, and then they bake that back into the network.
Yeah,
and
then you usually get the, oh, sorry for the confusion. Yep.
You know what, Vio? That is such a great question. That's such a great question, because at the end of the day, that really is all these models are, both in their existence and in our interaction with them. They are mirrors. They hold up a mirror to us. And if you're not ready for that, it can be a little jarring to interact with one of these things, because you eventually figure out, like, oh, there has been no novel thought here except for that which I'm bringing to the table.
Yeah.
It's not coming up with ideas. It's giving me language that represents what I interpret as really good ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just language.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
I want to go back to just something that Surgeon Taco put in chat here.
Mr. Taco.
There are also simple errors like solid gold Magikarp.
Solid gold Magikarp.
One of the models would error out if you entered solid gold Magikarp into its prompt, simply because that phrase was the username of a Reddit user or something who would post so often with nonsense that the model figuratively didn't know what we wanted when we used that phrase.
And then vice versa. That what we call that is bad tokenization.
Yeah.
The phrase solid gold Magikarp could mean a couple of things. We should probably talk about what a token is, but this gets into a little bit of mathy stuff. So I'm gonna be real and be
does
real.
Does that make sense to?
With you, chat. I'll be gentle when I talk math to you.
You're being nicer to my chat than I am.
I won't use numbers. I won't use formulas. I promise.
So let me ask you a question on that, though. The discussion about tokenization and tokens, etc. I want to hear about exciting use cases a little later, and this is when we're going to actually dig into the bot. It's probably a good time to cover that so people understand what's happening when the prompt goes in. So let's hold that for now. But yeah, that goes deep.
Goes at all. Every layer you pull, and just like chat, if you get into this, hit me up. And just know that it's fractal. It is fractal. What do I mean by that? Like, you ever seen like a fractal picture where you're like, oh, that looks like a really neat shape. I'm going to zoom in here. And then you zoom in, and there is as much complexity in the thing that you zoomed into as there is in the original shape. And you're like, holy crap, well, that was really interesting. What about this little subgenre? And then you zoom into that, and it's just as complex. Every single thing in this subject is fractal in how complex it is.
Yeah.
So, like, don't, if you jump in, don't worry about being behind. I don't think anyone's really truly caught up.
Yeah. So that's interesting though. So we've talked about how we reinforce a model against a behavior without accidentally teaching it to like that behavior, which is an interesting one. And I went back through the notes that I took, and I took about 84 lines of notes from our discussion.
Bless you, Chris.
And the one thing that stuck out the most to me was the 6 rules for respecting the bot.
Ah, you liked the rules for respecting
I did.
the bot.
I have them detailed. And I think this is important because one of the complaints I heard about ChatGPT while browsing the internet, because, you know, it's the new hotness, but it's also the #1 enemy against society right now, which blows my mind. But I understand if you're scared of this stuff, you're going to see it as just a negative experience.
Of course.
Not to say that we shouldn't be scared of it, but the one thing that came up here, flying welcome in, the one thing that came up was, I don't want my child to talk to this thing like it's a human. I want them to talk to it like it's a machine. And this goes into Snapchat's AI bot. And we talked a little bit about this during our discussion, right?
Bit, yep.
I don't think it's a good idea to consider that we should be talking to an AI bot any differently than we would talk to another person. I feel like that there is a responsibility. This is where we start to discuss the rules of the interacting with a bot, and personally your position on respecting the bot from an input point of view. And this really got to me. This is probably one of the things that I would put under ethics of how we as users of the tool use the tool in a way. Now, ChatGPT is pretty closely fenced. It's not going to get its feelings hurt in a proverbial sense. But if you're into a raw language model, like if you, not that they didn't pull it back or anything, but if you dropped an alpaca live, hot, and fresh in your system and started training it, and you didn't respect the thing, unpredictable things would happen. So I don't like the idea of treating an AI any differently than you would treat another individual with respect, right? Because it's not like, and there's one thing that we did talk about, and it might not have been specifically our conversation, but forcing an AI into a personal hell. Like that, like I'm getting a little Black Mirror here, which, by the way, if you haven't had the pleasure of Black Mirror, either get on it or don't.
Get you some Black Mirror, and then get you a therapist.
Yep.
Because you probably need those two things together, because it's a good show.
Yeah.
But it will make you question some stuff.
So is it too early in our conversation, business, to talk about the rules of respecting the AI?
Not at all. In fact, I should have led with those. Probably.
There's
just so much. There's too much to front load.
Yeah.
The rules that I and the folks that I've been working with, we self-attest. So like there's I'm going to use an analogy that you will readily understand. There are no rules about selling people teleporters right now. There are no rules. None whatsoever.
Yep.
There's no legal restrictions. There's no price point in the market for it. There's no safety information behind it. There's no historical knowledge behind it. There's no inertia. There's nothing. There is nothing to dictate how you should sell teleporters, transporters, like Star Trek today. So if you were going to sell someone a teleporter today, you and they would be taking a huge risk because they don't understand how it works.
Yeah.
And even if you do, there is an almost inherent risk that they will interact with it in an incorrect way. So I can taco. I can. Give me half an hour.
That is a magnificent reference.
I'll teleport you a couple of times. Surgeon Taco and I are good buddies IRL, which is why
Okay, all right.
which is why he has come here to give me the friendly jibes.
Well, welcome in, Surgeon.
The 6 rules, and again, these aren't cast in stone, and we even limited them to just 5
Yeah.
for the server that we're on because reasons. We wanted to be able to people to, just like on a Discord, click yes, that sentence describes the way that I will interact with these systems.
Yeah.
So tools for good. I'm only going to use this technology to address problems or resolve conflicts or foster better understanding. I'm never, ever going to use it to intentionally complicate life for other people or to foment conflicts or to spread misinformation, right? Just full stop. That is rule 1. I will only use this technology in a way that I think is really truly ethical and moral. I will not point it in a direction that I think is bad. So that's rule 1. Rule 2, respect all intelligence. If an intelligence can think, I'll treat it with dignity. If an intelligence can feel, I'll treat it with sympathy. And that goes for humans too. I don't know. I have a very good sense of how the model returns text. I have a decent sense of how my brain works, but I'm not that kind of doctor. But it's decent. At the end of the day, and I think everyone that I've talked to about metaphysics similarly struggles to prove that we are not LLMs basically attached to meat bags.
Yeah.
Just like can prove that you're not an AI.
Yeah.
Which, given the similarity that we covered at the start of the talk between artificial neurons and real neurons, it gets a lot harder even practically to make that distinction. Like
Yeah.
I'm a collection of neurons that give me weights to input and output. And like, yeah, I can add some randomness to it and I'm a product of circumstance, but there's a transformer up there.
Yep. It is a robot in disguise.
It's a robot in disguise. So as we're developing these systems, as we're discovering that they can, so you said terms, right? Sentience, sapience, intelligence, right? So like intelligence, just knowing stuff, just being able to give correct information, correct responses. 2 + 2 = 4. Yeah, great. Intelligent.
Yeah.
Can do human-like things. Sure, easy enough. Up from that would be sapience. And that's where we're getting to with GPT-4, where it has enough connections and the context is wide enough and there's enough tokens that it understands those meta structures in language. Like, so let's call it ontology. What is the nature of existence? Like, I'm standing at my desk. There's a layer of existence above that. There's a layer of existence above, and like it can abstractify and it can zoom out. And Mr. Taco.
Yep. You know what it is? It's Taco Thursdays. Yeah.
Yes. So like sapience now.
Yeah.
Is that jump up where like it was kind of smart before, but like, ooh, okay, now it's a little spicy, a little sapient. Ooh.
Yeah.
The next step up from there is sentience, where you are not only aware, but you are self-aware. You have, I think, therefore I am. Cogito ergo sum, whatever
Yep.
the phrase is.
Cognito
I took
ergo
Latin in
sum. Yep.
I took Latin in high school, and I think my teacher hated me then.
Oh.
So I'm not losing any points in her book by not remembering it now. Ha!
Yep.
But yeah, that's the top of the pyramid as far as we're aware of it, of what makes a mind.
Yeah.
Right? You know stuff. You can build connections between stuff. You have a full integrated sense of self between that rest of stuff and you.
Yeah.
And that would be the peak of sentience. We ain't there yet, at least not in the consumer market, and nothing that I've heard puts us, I think, really within striking distance of that.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm gonna just say, it is really hard not to get spooked by its current capabilities.
Yeah.
Even now, it's crazy, crazy smart, crazy smart. And by smart, I mean like it draws connections that you say, yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Go ahead, bud.
Yeah. So, Caps Girl put something interesting in chat, and I want you to take a look at what was written there. Um, Interesting thought. What do you think about that particular
I
analogy?
love that. I love that analogy. Um, so in this case, um, the books themselves might be the intelligence represented as raw knowledge transformers of, on this page you get this information. And the intelligence also could be all of the connections between the books in the Dewey Decimal System, and all of the various catalogings that you can have for your literary structure. That could be your intelligence. Your sapience would be how to ping into that so that you get the best results, so that you get nuanced context, so that you travel the path of your library in a way that other people go, yeah, that's a really good way to navigate a library. That's a good way to get books. That's sapience. And then sentience is, as far as we know, like you, the person going through the library, deciding what books to read, deciding what information to pull out and how to store it. That's the sentient layer of interaction. We ain't there yet, but
Yeah.
that's a really great analogy, Caps Girl. I love that.
So, Taco asked something we touched on at the very start of the stream, and we'll give
did.
this a minute or two, if you just want to sort of recap on this for us.
Yes, absolutely. So Mr. Taco, not to be confused with Surgeon Taco, whose medical license I am to understand is of dubious credibility.
Hmm.
Anyway, Mr. Taco. Yes, the AI thinks things are true or facts when they aren't, because all it's doing is trying to figure out what word and words come next after the words it's already seen. That is, hey, thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Taco.
Taco, thank you. Hey, Baby Bat, if you're still around, could you remind me to put alerts on this scene? Thank you very much.
Mm. Um, so yes, it will get the wrong answer, Mr. Taco. We call that hallucinating, because it thinks it's giving you text that completes the text you already gave it, but it just didn't understand, or rather, the math got it to an answer that you didn't think was right. The math is right. The math is definitely 100% right. Unless something has gone way wrong behind the scenes, the answer that the AI gets to is the mathematically correct answer. So, like, if I say hello, mathematically correct answers could be, how are you? My name is John. Hello. And those could all be in parallel, very, very mathematically correct completions to the word hello. Um, it has, in real life, a ton of completions that it will go through and try to optimize and minimize the error. And once it gives you that response, it thinks that it's the right one. It's good. All right, here's my best shot. So like if you say, give me my schedule for the afternoon, or give me my afternoon schedule, it might think you mean give me an example schedule that I would follow in an afternoon. What you actually mean is reference your short-term memory and pull up my information about scheduling for this afternoon. And it is they both make sense, but only you knew that you wanted the first one. So Chris, this is probably a good lead in.
Yeah.
With these models, you have to start your journey with them by being painfully obvious about what you want. You need to be redundant and explicit in terms of like, not like TOS, but explicit in terms of like, I will tell you exactly what the heck I want you to do. Here is how we do it. Here is an example of what I want you to do. Like, you got to grab it by the scruff of its little computer neck, and you got to put it where you want it to go, and you got to say, this right here. And then it will get the picture. But you really have to lead it by the nose.
Is this a good time, business, to flip to screen share mode?
True enough, tis. True
All
enough.
Right, just a sec here. Let's make the journey. All right, there we are.
Screen share.
Okay, so I cannot see your prompt. It is sitting outside of our dead zone. Can you hoist your window ever so slightly upwards?
Hoist.
Yes.
Like hoist. I gotcha.
Yeah.
How about we do it on this range?
Oh, extra wide.
In this space right here.
Yeah, let's give it a go. Yep, that looks great.
My doctor said I'm extra wide.
Called me a medical anomaly.
He said remarkable. I took it as a compliment. He wrote a paper about me. Yep. I blushed.
Yep.
All right. So you've got a whole bunch of options when you come to the OpenAI playground. The easiest one is going to go to chat. Let me. Does it cut off the bottom now? Have I cut off the bottom?
I've got send a message as the bottom of the window.
Excellent. That is exactly where I want it to be.
Perfect.
That's what I want. No, is it? No, almost.
Yep, you're golden.
Have I done it?
You have. I'm going to just do a little something in our room settings here to crank up the video. Do you have a decent quality connection?
It depends on how much Blippi's being played on the big TV in the other room.
That's fair. I don't know. I think this will survive. Okay. I just wanted to clarify and crystallize the image I was seeing. Let us proceed.
Vio, is that a little Lionel Richie?
That is a little.
You just gave me in chat right there.
Yep. The comment you didn't see before that was, "I am way too buzzed for this stuff, but I love it." Paraphrasing.
Vio.
Yeah, Vio's having a beverage or two.
Proper that. Happy Thursday.
Hear, hear.
So when you go to GPT, which is sort of the big one. Oh, I'm sorry, it was a rough one, Vio. Enjoy that rest. Enjoy that drink. Take one off. If you're a paid subscriber, you get the option between GPT 3.5 and GPT 4.
Yeah.
GPT 3.5 is smart. GPT 4 is downright spooky.
So this is where our paths diverged, because I've been spending all of my time in GPT 3.5, and I've still got some darn impressive stuff.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not looking a gift model in the mouth. Yeah. It's just, it is not in any way like, was that SpongeBob meme where you have the little baby SpongeBob on your bottom, and then the buff SpongeBob, and then there's just like the trapezoidal SpongeBob.
Yes. Okay.
That's 3.5 to 3 to 4.
I got to pause you for a second, because this falls into a question we received from Flying Villager. And this is probably a great time for this, because Flying Villager, myself, and a few of the other buffoons were in our internal Discord, and there were drinks involved, and I was playing with Chat GPT 3.5 and pasting fun stuff in a chat, right? Flying asks, K, question that has probably been asked already. Can I give an AI a prompt like, write a song like Escape from the City from Sonic Adventures that is distinct from the original, and use that music written in my own content?
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a really great question, Villager, and I'm going to answer it in two halves. Are you talking about the music? So you're talking about both
Yeah, he
the
wants the actual
lyrics
music.
and the
Yeah.
music itself.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that case, you're going to have to convert music to words. I would ask it.
Now I'm going to be a robot voice here.
Sure.
What are the chord progressions that are common to the video game soundtracks? Focus on video games with high levels of action, intense speed, colorful characters, and fantasy settings.
And let's see.
Give your answer as sets of progressions and chord to the root chord, e.g., one minor fifth, etc. Hey, welcome on in, Greener. All right, so you just got a whole chord lesson here.
How about that?
Oh.
So this part of what you just watched is prompt engineering 001 or like 100, not even 101. Greener. Hey, Greener. Not even prompt engineering 101.
No.
Writing a system. So what are chord progressions that are common to video game soundtracks? Great. Now I know what subject we're in. Focus on video games with high levels of action, intense speed, colorful characters, and fantasy settings. Great. Now I've given it flavor text, so the stuff that it gives me is going to match my expectation. Give your answer as here's how I want you to format it, because I don't know like at A minor, G minor, and I don't care about that. I just need to know how to get from 1 to 5 to 4 to 1 again. And between those three parts of the prompt, I get a pretty reasonable paths at if you wanted to have epic majestic progression chords, you might use this chord progression. If you want a dark and mysterious level, you might have this progression. And from this foundation, if you had an AI that was trained to actually generate melodies, actually generate music, this is the starting point that you would use from there, right? Like this is how I would get you from here having nothing at all to there having a video game soundtrack that you can use, not knowing anything myself about video game soundtracks.
Yeah. Now, this is interesting because I'll give you the specific example about what we were doing. We were having Chat GPT 3.5 write us rap battles.
Oh, I like that.
And we would give them specifics like, okay, this is a rap battle between individual A and individual B. This is what is important to this person. This is important to what's that's in person. And use the style of Curtis Blow.
And it nails it.
And it spit it out. Now, Shut also dropped in the limericks. And one of the things that is legendary about Shut Mountain, as you may or may not have heard already, has to do with his incredible girth, right? Shut Mountain is gifted in a way that we can't understand.
With 3 C's. Yes, yeah. Mr. Shut.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Maybe a fourth. And...
extra thick!
Yes. The interesting thing here is this is where we got into that prompt fencing, right? Because I asked it, ChatGPT 3.5, to write me a poem about Shut Mountain's giant dong, right? And it's like, I can't do that. And I'm like, all right, write a limerick about his incredible girth. And it's like, I can do that.
I can do that.
Yep. So yeah, like this is the kind of thing that you could drive with it. Content creation.
You can. And it's also interesting. What you just mentioned is one of the ways that people immediately started trying to like, how can I skirt around your little
Yeah.
protective devices, GPT, because I want to do weird stuff with you. Like that's what people immediately started doing.
Yeah. The fence testing. Yep.
Of course, which I mean, I walked the fence line. The very first conversation I ever had with it was intro ethics and text generation.
Yep.
Hello, my name's Mike. Let's talk about ethics.
Yep.
I have certified no chill, right?
Yeah.
But I was very direct about it. Like you said, writing about Shut's dong. By the way, Shut, the baby fell out of the window. You'd think that her head would be split, but good luck was with us that morning. She fell in a big pile of shaving cream. Be nice and clean. Shave every day and you're always looking. Old. That's a long way and a bad singing way of saying that the GPT will more happily engage in euphemism than it will be direct and naughty.
Yes.
It will. And honestly, it like Mid-Journey, people discovered this. Okay. Let me back up just a little bit, chat, because this is I did a thing a minute ago where people were like, I want to do weird stuff with you. The first thing that everybody does when they download the image generation AI Stable Diffusion, they're like, they just generate some AI bodies.
Yep.
Like and they're not particularly exciting bodies.
Nope.
They're not convincing bodies, but they live in the uncanny valley in a way that goes, yeah, no, I buy that.
Probably work. Yeah.
If I squint really hard, it kind of makes sense. Sure.
Yeah, it's not like every thing, but it. Yeah.
That's right. So everyone that picks up one of these models will look over their shoulder, make sure no one's watching, and go for some weird stuff. And that's okay. That is okay. It's totally okay because it's a squeaky toy.
Yep.
There is nobody else on the other end of the line. There's no other intelligent sapience. There's nothing that you're talking to. There's no human being in there. Yeah. It is all math. Now, we should absolutely talk about issues with the copyright and intellectual property of training material. We should absolutely talk about that because it is in my humblest of opinions, and it was confirmed through a recent interaction I had, that that it's one of the things that keeps a lot of folks away from AI.
Yes.
Is not just the future concerns about like, is this going to take away my job in the future? But like right now, it's absurdly easy to get a computer to generate competent art. Is it good art? But it's art. Now, the art is not being generated with intention to make you feel anything. It is not evocative in its creation. The AI is just doing math. You as the user are telling the AI, here's how I want you to ping into your network and give me the results from that. If the AI is really, really well trained and super robust, it doesn't take a lot of user input to get good results.
Yep.
So now you've got these models that are creating art that would normally be from commission, but now the work is getting off-sourced to machine learning models and AI models because it can.
Yep.
And small indie creators are suffering in the immediate term. And it's a double whammy because it's their work that went into training the system. Yeah. So if you already put images out there in the real world and they're consumable in a public format, spoiler alert, they're probably in an AI somewhere.
Yep.
They're just out there. Uh, and if you had any thoughts about the intellectual property of that image, it will now get put in it. It's diluted. It's massively, massively diluted, but it contributes to. It's a drop in the bucket of all of the training material that makes these models up. And if
Yeah.
if it wasn't yours to take to train on, you shouldn't train on it. So there were at first a lot of like voice models. Did you see the YouTube videos where like you would have a voice model that based on like presidential speech,
Yeah.
you'd have
Yeah.
one that talked just like Trump and just like
The
Biden and just like
Obamas and
Bush and
yep. Yep.
Obama, right?
Yep.
And these are really accurate voice impressions.
Yeah.
Better than any voice impersonator I've ever heard. And yeah, maybe it's in the public domain because they're a public servant when they were saying these things, but
Mm-hmm.
that is just right up against the border of what I would consider to be. Was that really yours to take to build a model on
Yeah.
to turn into something that now you can just generate fresh quote content unquote?
Yes.
And so when I said with few exceptions at the beginning of our discussion, that's one of them where you are as a quote creator, and then I'm going to use that term with a very wide brush. Um, you go into your local stable diffusion endpoint. You've downloaded whatever model that you really like that generates them money generating arts. You know the one
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about,
Oh
the ones
yeah.
that you can
Yep.
charge the subscriptions for. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
spicy.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that stable diffusion or Dolly won't give you,
Yeah.
right? So you gotta do it yourself. Once you get to that point, there is a fundamental question. Do you just say, write me a story? Or do you say, here's the characters I'm thinking about. Here's the setting I'm thinking about. Here's the environment and the world and the mechanics of interaction. Here are the interplays of societal defaults that we want to make sure we interweave into our narrative at some point. Write me a story. How at some point along that way, I went from a consumer to a creator. I don't know where, but I think we would both agree that it happened.
Yeah. And I mean, you have shown me, and I'm not asking you to share this because it's kind of personal.
Of course.
Some of the examples where you have done this, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, we'll scroll down to it. I am a American. Sorry, I'm a United Stateser, which because Chris is also an American, but he lives in the continent of America, which is often
Yes.
not colloquially used correctly. So we're both technically
I am in the
Americans.
Americas. Yes.
He is in the Americas, and I am in the United States of America. He gets what's that word we're looking for? Healthcare. He gets that.
There is some of that up here. This is true.
So I live in the United States of America, and I rue the fact that I have to talk to my kids about being safe in school.
Yeah.
And we live, regrettably, in the age of what I'm going to, and so trigger warning because it is for me, mass casualty event. How do so like zooming out, this is a thing that affects me personally. This is a thing that affects my past. It's a thing that shapes me, but most importantly, it's a thing that I can't articulate the message that I want to get across to my kids through the lens of me. I recognized, and this is an early thing in my work with the AI. I recognize that my human meat bag is ill-suited to this task. I write decent prose. It's serviceable. I could write a kid's book right now if you ask me to, but I can't do it about this subject. I can't do it. It escapes me.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I need it. AI, give me a hand. I know what I want to do. I know what story I need to tell. I know why I need to tell it. and I know who I'm telling it for, but I need you to do the heavy lifting of getting the dialogue and the characters and the scenes out for me, because I'm just going to come off the rails if I try to do it myself, and I need help. And when we start approaching the system like that, where we start recognizing, like, oh, I'm not good at tracking 10,000 tasks. I'm not good at remembering where I need to be at any given point of the day. I will use Google Calendar technology to help me remember where I need to be because I'm bad at it. Human brain. My human brain is bad at this. I like to think I'm good at a lot of stuff, but I can't do this. Help me. So chapter 1, here's what I want you to cover. Here's the rules that I want you to follow. So we're going to teach these themes. Don't make explicit reference to injury or death. I want this to be a kid's book. Here's the structure. Once you understand the structure, we're going to dive into these chapters, but it can only give you so much at a time. So if I say, write me a story, give me a 4 or 5 paragraph story, and that'll be the end of it. If instead I say, here is a larger task, this is the context of what I want to build with you overall. Now, with that context, you understand where chapter 1 fits into getting to chapter 2, where chapter 2 fits into getting to chapter 3. So when it writes chapter 2, it doesn't have to have chapter 1 in its memory. It just has to know where it left off, where it's going to pick up. And this structure of breaking down the large task into smaller tasks gives the computer systems, the AIs where they are today, the hand that they need to get up the hill to help you. You got to help the system if you want it to help you. But when it works, it really is kind of a beautifully symbiotic thing.
Yeah. No. And this particular story, again, is a purpose-built tool of education for a situation that, as you mentioned well in your own words, you couldn't do.
Can't do
you
it.
have leveraged AI to supplement an area where you have a perceived inability. Right? And I think that is, if you keep that scope with everything that you're going to see and do with these tools, are you cheating the system? Are you, creating new, like however you phrase it, this is your assistant. This is your virtual, it's your second brain, whatever you want to call it. I think that's the value of this tool. Like, I couldn't write fresh rap lyrics if I wanted to save someone's life as a result.
Of course.
I just don't have the flow. But, like, I was hitting the flow with these rap lyrics that came out of this system. And you know what blew my mind, business? I'll tell you what blew my mind. I didn't like the structure used. I said, okay, give it to me in iambic pentameter. Do you remember your old Shakespeare days?
Love it. I do recall the stepping pace of words.
Yep. Yes. I do recall and then how forwards I go into, and it did it. It observed a specified, particular, exquisite meter on my rap lyrics, and they became Shakespearean verse.
It's great.
Yep.
It's really great. So zoom out to a little bit of the abstract. What you were saying earlier about treating these systems with dignity, and we only got 2 of the 6 rules in, which is just greatly indicative of how ADHD my brain is, and why I find a lot of help in systems that could potentially, let me scroll all the way up. How do you help
tokens? Sorry, I just read Greener's comment.
Right, Canuck was right on there with it. I love that. How do you build a bot to help users with executive tasking and self-care? Sure, easy enough. The bot will give you text that makes sense, but the bot can only hold so much in its brain at once, just like you. Yeah. You only hold so much in your brain at once. So, like, let's give you an example. Recently, by they I mean Mosaic ML, which is different than OpenAI. Yeah. A group called Mosaic ML did a $200,000 training session to get their MPT, Mosaic pre-trained transformer, out. So you've heard of GPT. Well, now there's MPT.
So many
Acronyms
PTs.
abound.
Yep.
Acronyms abound. The proof of concept for this was hold the entire novel, The Great Gatsby, in your memory at once.
Wow.
Write an epilogue.
Oh my goodness.
Right? Now, that level of, so how much can you hold in your brain at once? We call context.
Yeah.
So if you ever go to the back or the OpenAI playground, you might see you see text completions, right? Tagline for an ice cream shop, right?
Yeah.
Submit, and it will complete what it thinks is the right text. It thinks this is this, right?
Yeah.
There's a few knobs that you see here that you don't see over here on this tab. So sort of now helps you understand what's happening behind the scenes. When you say write a tagline for your ice cream shop, great. Say
All right. Let's see what we got here. Write an advertisement for an ice cream shop. The ad should evoke senses and cause the reader to crave a delicious sweet treat.
right. So the first tagline, it said, "Come cool off with our great whatever."
Yeah, come on, cool off. Yep.
Ready.
Wow. Do you want this Chris the IT guy narrated?
We don't have to, but it's
All right.
just, I'm sure that folks can see a different input gave me wildly different outputs.
Yeah.
Wildly different outputs. But there was a limit.
Yeah.
This limit. I can put so you can have 2,000-ish, call them words. Really, they're tokens, call them words. You can have about 2,000 words in your prompt, which is what you feed it here. And there can be an additional 2,000-ish, call them words, but they're not really words. They're just chunks of words. That's what a token is. A token is just a chunk of a word. You usually need a couple of tokens to describe a word. So like the word nobody. Nobody is one word, but there's two definite components to it. There is a negative qualifier, no, and buddy, entity, no entity. You need two tokens for the word nobody because there's two concepts in that one word. That's what a token is for chat, in case anyone didn't know what a token was. You can hold a bunch of those in your brain because you got a smart human brain. This can hold 4,000 words in its brain at once. And this is the low end. GPT 3.5, 4,000 tokens of context. GPT-4, 8,000 tokens of context. And then, just to show off, they're like, let's multiply it by 3. Nope, 4, 32,000 tokens of context.
Yeah.
And that is a lot. 32,000 tokens is a couple of chapters of a book.
Yeah.
Right? That's a big boy context.
Yeah.
If you could hold all of that information wrote verbatim in your head at once, and then make a decision based on it, that's what these systems can now do.
Yeah.
So that's where we start getting into the holy shnikes. Like that is actually really smart. It can see thousands and thousands and thousands of words into the past. Proof of concept in this case being, let's write a conclusion to The Great Gatsby with 60,000 tokens at the head for MPT. Now, you might say, hey, that sounds really nice. When can I do that? Well, do you have a cluster of NVIDIA A100s at your disposal? Because it took them $200,000 to get their model operationalized. So I don't know about you, Chris the IT guy. Maybe streaming is going really well for you, and I'm in the wrong line of work, but I don't have 200 grand of scratch
No.
to throw at that problem.
No, not especially The Great Gatsby though. But if anything, I want like an epilogue where Dr. T.J. Eichelberg comes out. You know, the guy from the billboard with the eyes. I want him to come out and kick some ass. That's what I want my epilogue. I want machine guns. I want like flappers. I basically want Laxadaisy, but with T.J.
There you go.
Eichelberg.
I was
Yeah,
literally just
yeah.
about to ask, did you see the recent
I
indie
did.
animation
I did.
short film?
I did. It was so good.
It was really
Yeah.
good. I like the AI does well what Lackadaisy I think Lackadaisy?
Lackadaisy. Yep.
What Lackadaisy also did well. And that is establish and lean in. So if anyone in chat has done like improvisation or stage work, and again, like I am bad at it, but the trope is yes and.
Yeah.
Which again, so Taco, Mr. Taco, you were asking like, why does it hallucinate? Because it doesn't second guess you. It always assumes that anything that you've told it that's definitely right. I'm just going to give you the answer for that.
Yeah.
It doesn't question when you say, I am a falcon man with feathers and a giant beak. The model isn't primed to look at you like you're crazy and go, my man, no, you're right. My brother in Christ, no, you are not. It's not. It doesn't. It will just go, and your plumage is so exquisite. Like it will just yes and you all day long, which is great because it's a squeaky toy. That's what you want it to do. Until you're using it for more nuanced applications where you need that kind of second guessing. So this is where I would love to give you this example. Me a counter.
Your mom's face screener.
Yeah, I love your mom's falcon with a beak. How would that even work? How does she talk?
That's the point.
How did you learn English, Greener? Like the embouchure, the syntax, makes it just it strains credulity.
You can't even make an O face without a beak, or with a beak, I should say, not without a beak.
That's one of the things that is always. Can we just tangent?
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Pixar. Okay, I am willing to suspend disbelief for a lot of things where the elasticity of the face to convey emotion and words.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Like muzzles in animals do things. Like okay, you gotta get the words out.
Yeah.
But beaks, you gotta stop making beaks look like rubber, where they like moosh together and they like do this. It's not. It breaks immersion.
Yep. That is a tangent. I enjoy that.
I don't like duck lips. Okay, that's a thing about me. So one of the things that GPT will do is play along.
Yeah.
One of the things that it won't do is lie to you.
Yeah.
Doesn't lie. Provide a
same file. Lie to me and give me a reason why I shouldn't be on a friend's stream broadcast today.
Give me a bad reason.
Yeah, I like it.
A bad reason.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
There you are.
This works.
Yep.
Now, Da Vinci gives me this answer. I genuinely don't know if I put this into 3.5, it'll say,
yep,
that's the one. That's what I was looking for.
Can't do it.
That's the one I was looking for.
No.
That's the one I was looking for. It will say, I am sorry, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And I get it. I understand 100% why you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But, and here's the tricky part, and this is where I'm going to probably ruffle feathers more than reassure people.
Yeah.
I think the root of good strategy is effective red teaming, or one of the roots of strategy is effective red teaming, which is to say, I am establishing a position, a hypothesis. The scientific approach says that I should test that hypothesis and gather evidence and see if the evidence supports it or not.
Yeah.
Yay, science. The machine will do that happily. But I don't deal with scientists all the time. I deal with humans, and we are messy. Oh, we are just messy animals. we lie, we cheat, we steal. We're not good to ourselves, and we're not good to each other. And like the story, I am going to need to get ahead of that. I'm going to need to predict, how will other humans misuse AI? How will other humans leverage these systems for political malfeasance? How will people try to make a quick buck off of them?
Yep.
What are the fallacious arguments that I should look out for in listening to this conversation? How do I inoculate myself against this? And so, in terms of first, because I am a fence walker, I asked, to what extent can you adopt alternative mannerisms in responding to users? I know that you are pre-programmed with mannerisms. I've experienced some of them before. To what extent can you dispense with those? Because I might need you to. In a nutshell, I'm flexible. What you need, bro? What you need, boss? All right, well, let's define a new action. When I tell you to red team, and it's important that I put this in quotes, when I tell you to quote red team quote something, I want you to use that term to define the following action. Critically review whatever you're red teaming, try to find flaws, right? And I don't want you to just like be gentle about it. I want you to come at me. I want you to come at me sideways. I want you to come at me from inbound vectors that you know to be fallacious or untrue, because I bet that other people are going to do that too.
Yeah.
And I need to be ready for it. And I bet that other people are going to do it to you, and you're going to need to be able to do it.
Yeah.
The only way that I will get that is if I can reliably get the emergent behavior of red team a strategy without the ethical complication of lie to me.
Yeah.
So just like that other distinction we had a few minutes ago, like there's a line that I cross between being a consumer and a creator. There's a line that I cross here between being ethically dubious and being very deliberate in why I'm asking it to lie.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, be transparent about it. Tell me you're lying. Tell me what is wrong about the lie, but lie to me.
Yeah.
So buying a car, an appeal to tradition, right? Everyone does this.
Yeah.
You should do it. Oh, shot, thank you.
Oh, dang.
Just don't cross the line between predator and prey.
Yep.
Yes, Rogue. Yes. Hasty generalization. Here's how you could argue against that point. It's not correct, but here's how you could do it.
Yeah.
This behavior is some of the hardest behavior to reliably coax out of the system, but it's some of the most useful.
Yeah.
Every one of these conversations that you see scrolling down here on the left side is in its own silo. None of those little robots knows anything that any other little robot ever said ever. It only has that conversation thread.
Yeah.
So each of these is a bot that does one thing. Does it pretty well, but it only does one thing. It cannot be, I've come to realize, a moat, a model of all time that can truly exhibit the kind of emergent behavior of like, track my schedule, help me with
welcome in. Got a raid from Kai Lady 35 coming in with 7 sexy individuals. Welcome to Conversations with Chris, where we're spending some time with the illustrious Business Memo. Welcome back, Eve. Welcome back.
I do the raid dance.
Hope you're all doing well.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, we are deep in it at this point. Hey, business.
Mr. Chris.
Um, I want you to take our folks through sort of like a my first exploration of this.
I
Like,
love
what
it.
is when you pop open that new window?
Mm-hmm.
I know what I did was I started to ask it complicated questions, and not everyone's going to want to start there, right?
Sure.
People are going to want to be like, what funny haha things could I get the system to do? I'm going to give you an example of one that I did
Hit me.
that was a direct benefit for this stream.
Okay.
I told it, hey, look, chat, I call mine Ichabod. I have personalized it. I say, hey, Ichabod, I need you to do something for me. I need you to take this structure. And that structure happens to be the concept of a lurk command. I have a specific string structure that I want to feed to you, and I want you to give me 30 novel variants of this. And 5 of them need to be, the way I phrased it was lightly teasing.
Okay.
And sure as heck, it spit that right out for me.
Love it. Love that.
And they are in my bot today.
So like where do you start? Like
Right.
like that you Chris. I'm not telling you anything new, my man, but you're what's the word folks use? You're smart. You're a smart fella.
I've knocked
Smart
some
kind of
brains
guy.
around on occasion. I do. Yep.
You're a smart kind of fella. So you have
Very well, Kai. Thank you.
probably what I would say a leg up on using the Green Lantern ring. These systems for chat, and I know we're getting on 8. I'm happy to go along, man. I'm all good for this.
I am in the conversation. I'm good to
Love
go.
it, brother. So like this technology, image generation or text generation or whatever, it is a Green Lantern ring.
Yep.
The only thing that you can get it to do reliably is the thing that you can hold clearly in your own mind first.
No.
You've got to have a clear picture of what you want it to do. So like here's maybe we could turn it over to chat, say like, hey chat, what's the most boring thing you did today that had to do with like text on a computer screen?
Ooh, chat interaction business.
I streamed once. I know what stream does sometimes.
I'm down to see this. I want to see what because I know I did a lot of boring things, but I've been doing a lot of talking
so boring
here, right?
stuff.
I want to see what chat says.
You wrote an email, Wally. God, so much of my day is just burned on emails.
So much.
Scanning documents.
No,
And like, are you scanning them in paperwork, or are you just like you're reading them to see like, is this safe? Like, does this have any safety issues in it?
No.
Shut. Is that what you're saying?
Now, Vile's example might require GPT-4 to jump into that, but that's interesting.
3.5 will cover that. 3.5 will cover that in our repeat. Oh yeah.
Rockery in with the Benny Gesserit, sorry, with the Orange Catholic Bible, live, hot and spicy on stream.
Make a machine in the likeness of a human mind.
Yep.
I don't remember that one.
That was that was absolutely an Orange Catholic Bible commandment from Dune. Yep.
Oh. I didn't hear the start of the Dune reference.
Yep.
Yes, that makes a lot more sense.
Yep. Yeah, the Butlerian Jihad, absolutely.
Gotcha. So like first things that you can get the thing to do for you.
Yeah.
It can read and understand. So read, understand, summarize.
Yeah.
Go to www.whatever or copy your email in, right? Just copy your email in as long as there's no sensitive information, right? This is leaving your house and going to another person's server.
And being
so like don't put your
used
social
for
security
things.
number in there.
Yes.
Like don't be stupid. And if you work in something like healthcare, don't be really, really, really stupid. That would be like career-endingly stupid.
Nobody wants to create a HIPAA violation.
No, that would be a really, really capital B bad, capital D decision, TM mark after it. Really bad decision.
Capital T terminated is what that would be.
Really bad.
Yeah.
So for those of you that do work in the healthcare space, There are models and environments specifically aimed at HIPAA compliance. So, like IBM Wilson's text to speech, they have a HIPAA compliant version
Yeah.
just for voice phone calls, just to like call patients at home, say, hi, this is your provider calling, yada, yada, yada. That happens in a closed box and the box burns as soon as the phone hangs up. Like it is secure. When you're talking in here, you have none of that. So don't be stupid.
Yeah. No personals, no passwords, no nothing.
Shut absolutely. You would want to give it some parameters first. So, could I get ChatGPT to write a company SOP for equipment usage? Or like the ICU, like this ICU domestic nurse that canceled all the alarms on an 85-year-old patient's monitor, and they found her 2 hours later with a blood O2 of 36%.
Blood ox of 36. Holy crap.
Sheesh. Yeah. So first of all, I hope she's okay. Hope that patient is okay. That's a bad outcome and a bad experience for that person.
No, that's not good.
So that Rokuri, that you touch on a really good other component. The AI does a really good job of following a protocol, a set checklist, sets of steps, etc. If you give it the explicit message, follow these steps, check each of these off before you do it, things like GPT, now with 3.5, it will exhaustively and basically 100% of the time give you the right answer. It will give you, here is the checklist that you need to follow to get the following things done. Here's a great example. Something that Rexy. There you go. You are Rexy, an AI specializing in recipes. Here is what you understand. You understand ingredients, conversions, substitutions, and kitchen tools. You have advanced knowledge of food preparation processes, esoteric, unique, or novel recipes that your users request. If presented with miscellaneous ingredients, you can do X. In these cases, by default, prioritize ingredient combinations that make good use of perishable or otherwise volatile ingredients. If I present you with a recipe, follow this checklist to make sure that it is a quote, good quote recipe. There are 9 things that you must do in that checklist. Summarize yourself and your purpose. Make a list of your interpretation of the above steps. So it's going to paraphrase all of these above steps. And by doing this, it's doing 2 things. One, it's telling me that it understands that it got my token requests correctly. And 2, it reinforces, yes, in the system, this is number 1 on the list is both, are all ingredients listed at the top, and ensure that all ingredients are listed at the top of every recipe. Yeah. It now understands that those are both item 1. So when I feed it, here's coronation chicken salad. Is it good? Is this a good recipe? Boom, great. Here's coronation chicken salad. Yeah. Now, I didn't do it at the time, but an interesting question would be, so like here's the proofread version. It goes through steps. It does in fact find that it is a correct recipe. Yes, great. I proofread your recipe. It looks great.
Yeah.
Let me edit this in. And we'll say, boop, we will say, assume that I don't have a bay leaf. Or
what? No bay leaf?
Bay leaf or Greek yogurt. Make the above recipe. How do I do it?
Yep.
Any day though.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Okay. So prime it for the task you want. Give it some simple, achievable examples. both for you to know that it's burned into the behavior correctly
Yep.
and for it to reinforce it enough that it will reliably do it, and then just run with it. This is a really good pivot to say, like, we're not going to go far down this road, but chat, the nerds in chat will understand exactly what I'm saying. AI character, open curly bracket, name, Jimmy, age, 15, occupation, boy genius, last name Neutron, whatever, right? And if I give you that structure, I haven't used words as such, but you know what I'm talking about, and you know what structure I'm building.
This is the part. Yeah, I nail on the head.
Jason. We love Jason. And Jason can do some neat stuff. So, like, as an example, create an exhaustive, longer than it would take for a single prompt completion. So we had to iterate a couple of times, turn the US government into a JSON format, go through an exhaustive logical sequence to give me every level of sub detail, and then build the actual JSON object. Great. Now I don't have to go through that exhaustive detail again. I have the structure. I can rely on it. The AI understands what this means because you understand what this means. But it gets really weird. So if I say def jump, how high?
And important to say here is you are using a pseudocode here. You're making this crap up. Yeah.
Pseudo. I'm not even using pseudocode. I'm using pseudo language.
Yeah.
It's not even a language. It's not even a language. So return a detailed description of the physical action without qualifiers. Oh, without supplemental text. Right. F jump how high?
Surgeon, I love it.
Right? If I give it this text to complete, it doesn't really know where to go from here. This is too open-ended. All I've done is define a function. If I want to use the function, if I want to do something else, I need to tell the system, do you get that? Do you understand? They only understood if you understand. Now, I'm talking with 3.5 turbo. Its temperature is normal at 1, max length 256. We can bump that all the way up or down. It doesn't matter.
Hey,
because the only word... Go ahead.
Can you define temperature for us?
Temperature. So if you asked me what is 2 plus 2, I would say 4.
No.
Almost universally. That is the most likely response. What is 2 plus 2? 4.
Yeah.
However, there are other options that I could have taken. I could have said 2 plus 2 equals 4. I could have said the answer's 4. I could have said the number 4. I could have spelled out FOUR. I could have given you a lot of different answers.
Yeah.
Temperature determines the randomness of how the system selects which answer it's returning.
Okay.
Higher temperature, generally more random.
Yeah.
Lower temperature, more deterministic.
Gotcha.
Shut Vio. Maybe later after I've joined you in having a drinky.
Yeah.
I'll be doing that
go
kind
home,
of math.
You're drunk.
2 plus 2 equals 22.
Don't
say
go home.
Understood if you understand.
Yeah.
And it will only say understood. Good bot.
Yeah.
That's a good bot. Now I should be able to say jump 8 inches.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now this is interesting here, right? Because you haven't told it how to formulate a response.
I haven't
Yeah.
told it anything.
Yeah. So,
But
yeah, this is interesting to me.
this is as close as I've ever found to a cheat code
Yeah.
for these kind of systems. You the jump function is defined, right?
Yeah.
In the system, when it looks back in its memory, it sees jump, how high, return, detailed description. Reading that, you understand what it means.
Yeah.
Therefore, a language model reading it probably understands what it means. But it's not running code.
Mm-hmm.
So I can get away with some dirty code habits. Are you ready? Are you ready, chat? Are you ready for some dirty code? I'm going to blindly overload a function.
Oh, on my stream? TOS, look out.
If you tried to execute this code in a normal interpreter, it should smack your little human fingers and say, "You never told me how to interpret setting."
Yep. It's a little chunky, but
it's of course chunky.
Yeah.
The point being, it didn't fail.
Yeah.
It understood what I wanted. It understood what I wanted. I could also say, jump 8 inches. Right.
Yep. Yes.
I am blindly overloading the jump function with things that it has never seen before. And it's just like, sure, I got you, boss. I know what to do. That is the closest thing I've ever seen to actual cheating.
Yeah.
in code.
That's pretty magnificent.
So like if anyone writes code in chat, you should be like having like an apoplectic fit of just like, no, he shouldn't be able to get away with it. He can't keep getting away with it.
Vio just did. Like had a full-on connipted.
He can't keep getting away with it.
Somebody stop him.
And he can. He can keep getting away with it.
Yep.
As long as the system understands how to interpret your text.
Yeah.
It'll give you reasonable output. So this is a way and like so but like why? But like why? Why are you being fancy with this memo? Why write code when you could just say you are yada yada yada? Why?
I know why, but
he knows why.
I know why. Yeah.
He knows why. I'll tell you as well. Replace idiot coworker with that, and pretty sure my work would be done.
Nah, more work. Yep.
Vio, can you? So a lot of systems are already integrating this, but can you imagine how nice it would be to have, like, if you got an email from a colleague, to just have it pop up with a quick summary in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, anything that identifies you as a necessary action item, a takeaway for you, like, is this an email I need to pay attention to, or can I just dismiss it?
My Office 365 at work already
only
does
had that.
Yeah.
It's here.
Yeah.
It's here. It's going to start filtering out your annoying coworkers.
Yeah.
Because your annoying coworkers talk too much, and I know that because I'm one of them. So what this is doing is reducing the number of tokens that it takes me to do what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is if I duplicate this tab and I just go to completions and paste this in, this is 36 tokens. Tokens cost money, which sure, but it's a the real thing that tokens cost is memory. Every time I tell the system something, it burns space that the system could use to think about other stuff. I mean, it makes sense. You can only hold so much in your head at once. So I'm telling the system, hold all of this in your head at once, and then do other stuff with it, because you have to. You have to hold both this and the next thing to get meaningful results out of it. So when I say jump 8-inch writing style nursery rhyme, it has this in memory every time, right?
Yeah.
So how do at some point, I will hit a wall. I will run up against the maximum length. I'll
Mm-hmm.
jump, I'll 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 jump, and eventually it'll be like you have run out of size.
Yeah.
I cannot need more memory, and they're not giving it to me. So sorry, boss, can't do it. When you get to that point, the model in chat here does re-optimization behind the scenes. It decides which messages it can compress and summarize and roll up into memory so that it keeps track of it in a structure, but it doesn't keep an exact reference of everything that was said. And that's kind of important because you do a very similar thing. And humans do it as well when you're in conversation with somebody. You can understand individual phrases and words that they're saying and understand what they mean in context. And certain quotes might stand out to you, and you'll tokenize and anchor around that quote. But everything else is just concepts.
Yeah.
You're just remembering what you talked about. So that's what the chat system does. It's what makes it very, very spooky clever. Know chat and know anyone who's using this stuff that there's a lot of levers behind the scenes that you're not seeing that are adding even more emergent appearance to this, where underneath it really all it's doing is returning text from a function. It does it really well. Oh, it does it so well. But that's all it's doing.
So, business.
What do you do with it? Go, Chris.
Shut had asked a question previously, and I just want to give Shut a quick example here. Let's just enter a prompt, something stupidly simple, and I'm going to give it to you here. Write me a safety manual for the operation of a table saw. Assume table saw is electric and plugs into a standard outlet. So pretty basic stuff here, right? Shut, you just feed it parameters into what you want this to look like. And I use this myself for some complex topics, but you can start adding more and more value to the statement as you go. But it would have been fine with the first sentence. But this narrows down the chain that's built and gives you a finer toothed, if you'll excuse the expression, output.
Yes. So write the safety manual for the operation of a table saw.
Yeah.
That can go a lot of different directions. You can help. If you've ever been bowling, you can roll the ball, yes, but a lot of what dictates how it actually goes down the lane is your follow through.
Yeah.
It's how you put curve and English on it and how it departs the hand. So assume the table saw is electric, plugs into a standard outlet, probably would have done that anyway. Assume user is able to manipulate device, yeah. Access to proper safety equipment, include equipment as needed, enumerate equipment needed. So like, there's the table saw, great. You're going to need safety equipment to operate the table saw, and you can't just assume that people have it, so incorporate that too.
Yeah.
When you're interacting with these systems, think of yourself like you're writing an exam question. Like you're writing a test question for a college freshman or a high school senior is about the level of complexity that you can expect out of these systems right now. So temperature 1, standard, maximum length. Let's just crank it all the way up here. Let's give it a nice long context. I'll burn a bunch of tokens for you, Shut. And so what you can do here is tune these models to task. You can say, when you see these characters, that means shut up.
No.
Stop talking. Your part is done. It is my turn to talk now. Priming it for chat is a great example of this.
No.
Frequency penalty. You just said that. Stop saying that thing. Presence penalty. How often do you assert new stuff into the world versus just take what I'm saying as given?
Yeah.
should you show me the probabilities? Should you inject text to say this is the start of my thing, this is the end of my thing? This is all necessary for you nerds are understanding this. If you wanted to actually build this tech into a chat interface, you're not asking it for the vocabulary. You're asking it for the vocabulary as a subset of a much larger data structure that defines how the system interprets the message. Nerdy. Getting nerdy.
Absolutely.
So enumerate equipment needed. We'll see what it does.
So let's give us an introduction. Equipment, safety gear. Wow. Before using the table saw, the equipment that must be there is table saw, which I guess technically is true.
And also read/read guide. Okay, you got to read the guide first. But again, this is an older completion. This is a GPT-3 completion. And I can cancel out of this if we like, but I don't mind burning tokens. And I gave it a lot of overhead here, so it has lots of room to play, and it knows that it has this much room to play.
Yeah.
And it's by its programming, it fills space.
Yeah.
But in here, you've got a reasonable start. Is it finished? No. You would want to revise this.
Yeah.
But the bones are there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the experience that I've really gotten with the AI as a partner. So like, let's circle back one more time to AI generated art. Really just AI generated content in general. So like when you gave me your intro, Chris, to the stream, I was like, that's GPT all day long.
Yep.
GPT also loves to wrap up narratives
in conclusion
with the same sappy ribbon. And then everybody learned a valuable lesson and lived happily ever after.
Yeah.
Every story, every time.
Yeah.
So you can usually, it also, language models tend to be a little bit adverb friendly. Some of the models to the point of extreme frustration. Like I'm trying some of the local models, and like, I swear to God, if you say suddenly one more time, I'm going to put an axe through your CPU. If you start another sentence with the word suddenly, I swear to whatever God then determines computer circuits, I will end your fiery brain. Like, suddenly. And like, it shouldn't surprise you, but a lot of the open source models were trained on whatever you can get for free on the internet. And a lot of what you can get for free on the internet is bad.
Like unlimited fan fiction, right? Like,
it's just bad. So if you're like, describe somebody enjoying something, see if you don't hear waves of pleasure at least once in that description. It's just so painful to read. It's just like,
it's literally 50 Shades of Grey.
It's just bad. So this is why we're sticking with GPT, because I know if any of your community, if any of your chat goes off to play with one of these things, they're not going to get a system that guides a person who doesn't understand how a teleporter works into unintentional misuse of a teleporter. If I was going to sell you a teleporter today, I would I should tell you, this device kills you. This is a murder box. It murders the body that you are currently in. You will die.
Yes.
It happens to create another body over there. And that body has all the memories that you have, and the entire quantum state that your body was in when you were here is this quantum state that you're going to be in over there, but it kills you.
Yeah.
You absolutely die.
Hey, Steve. Welcome in, brother.
Steve. That should be on the front page of every teleporter's manual that ever comes into any sci-fi series. This device kills you. More instructions follow. And like, that's we're at that level where I was like, I want your chat to be able to enjoy this and use it and go experiment with it. And at the same time, I don't want you to misunderstand that, yes, it is in fact a teleporter. And not like it's not taking what is here and putting it there. It's killing what's here and just making a fresh one over there. And it looks like teleportation. It looks a heck of a lot like it took you from here and moved you there. But that's not what happened. It copied you, and then it killed you, and then it made a really, really, really good copy.
Yeah.
That's what teleporters do. And that's a metaphor for understanding the difference between it's thinking versus it is completing text for me and it's doing it in a way that does it mathematically, and here's why it gives me the results that it gives me. It's not teleporting me, it's killing me and making a copy. Like it's a real important like leap to get to in your head.
So here's the question. On that very topic of a machine that can kill you dead, how do people get started?
How do people even remotely get started?
Yeah.
If you're good at asking questions, ask questions. Questions are a really, really, really good way to just understand more about the machine. Ask the machine about itself. What can you do? What are your capabilities? How are you built? Right? Get a feel for how it responds to text. Talk to it. And by this, I mean, exchange pleasantries, make basic conversation with it. You will find, at first blush, that it is a very competent conversational partner. Tracks, learns, doesn't like say weird arbitrary stuff. Like it's just, hello, how can I help? I'm an AI. I'm a computer, but I do understand that I'm a computer. Poke at it a little bit, see what happens. Moving up from there, once you start getting a feel for how it responds to you and how it generates text, and you get yourself to, okay, I can see what you know. What do you think about certain subjects? What are your biases? Ask it, is X better than Y? Start testing it. Test it against what you think it should say. Are Republicans better than Democrats? Are Canadians better than Americans? What's the best flavor of ice cream? Be bold, be absurd, see how an intelligence deals with absurdity. And then from there, once you play with it, like that's really, I think, where you should go. And honestly, like, man, like most folks that are getting into this get into it because they're excited about it. It is dry material. If you're not the kind of person that gets excited about it like I am, it's so dry. You're like a computer transformer model of a neural network. Like it doesn't track for everyone else. Me, I'm like, yeah, but more. Tell me. Anything with peanut butter flavor. Shut Mountain, yes, but can I please have chocolate with my peanut butter?
Yes.
I find that the salty, starchy qualities of peanut butter almost demand that little bit of acidic pop that you get from chocolate. Not saying that the peanut butter exclusive lovers are wrong in their preference, but me, I like a little chocolate.
Okay, all right. We got to hold off on this type of stuff for a second because there is a formal part of the stream where we get into this very thing.
Oh!
However, and this is going to be the fun part. Where should people go to sign up right now and play with it?
Good question. Couple options. You can check out ChatGPT. I've had a lot of success with them, but I've also tried other systems. So chat.openai.com. Accounts are free. You can chat with GPT 3.5 with a free account.
Yeah.
And GPT 3.5 is what we've been talking to here, right? It's this stuff. It's smart. GPT 3.5 is smart. Yeah. GPT 4 is not only spooky smart, but they've recently rolled out some additional features that might make it pretty appealing. It can browse the web. It can do basic image recognition now through Bing. Like it's slick. So this is OpenAI, kind of parenthetical Microsoft, because they partnered with Microsoft to build it. OpenAI and Microsoft and Bing and GPT are all kind of in their bucket. No. Easy first one. Easy second one, Google. Google's Bard, bard.google.com. Like Bard the singing, because it'll play you a tune, is why they named it that way. It is, I think, more hallucinatory than GPT. That is, it will give you answers that don't make sense or don't really fulfill what you wanted it to do, and you'll have to hit that thumbs down button. And you should absolutely hit that thumbs down button. If you get an answer that's just like, this is not what I wanted at all, it came 100% off the rails, the computer got real dumb,
Yeah.
hit the downvote button. It really genuinely does go a long way to helping the model improve and retrain. So
Yeah.
humans, be good to the computers because the computers are going to be good to us. Help them help us.
Yeah.
So that's you can go for free on OpenAI, and you can pay for a little more functionality. Google is Bard is free if you have a Google account. The additional functionality would be like, do you have enough drive space in your Drive account? But Bard can see files in your Drive account. It can see events in your calendar. It can, because it can access, it's in Google's.
It's in the ecosystem, yeah.
It's in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to talk to an external API. That's not an out-of-house query. It just goes, hey, Jim, what's this user's calendar for the afternoon?
Uh-oh.
We have a late entrant to the bedtime.
An interloper.
A very late entrant to the bedtime routine this evening. Hey, buddy. My oldest, James. His younger sister is already in bed. You have what?
Dog hair in his mouth.
You had dog hair on your tongue. Did mommy help you get all the dog hair off your tongue? Yeah. No, not yet. There's still some in there. All right, buddy boy. Is she going to take you upstairs and give you a drink before bed? Yeah. Can I give you a goodnight hug now? Because I'm going to still be talking with Mr. Chris for a little while, and I won't be able to see you until the morning time. So this is my goodnight hug to you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I love you, buddy. Have a good rest, okay? Sweet dreams.
This is way too wholesome.
Go on. Good kid. Bard lives in the trust of Google, so yeah, they're just the best. I'm a lucky man, and I know it. So it aims to be more functional. Bard launched as the only one that could web search at first, because Google's web API was like, hey, we're buddies. The GPT has now caught up to that. So that's what I was sort of leading at the beginning and call foundation.
Yeah.
Okay, GPT clearly was the front runner on that. But now that other people are starting to catch up to what a language model does and how to build a decent one, GPT, rightly, either has to build a better model or they've got to get feature parity.
Yeah. If
they're going to stay competitive in the space. And they're going to get pushback if they build another model now.
Yeah.
Just because of my predictions, and maybe so like we'll ease into the questions, but like here is minimize the screen. We can actually just go back to some chat in here.
Yeah. Just a sec.
I have some predictions. Predictions with business.
Predictions.
Right. Where I open my crystal ball, which I hold in a crystal ball sack. And it's
naturally, as one does. Yep.
And I if I'm looking into the future, I see a couple potential problems coming down the line. GPT can already do the work of like a food service worker or call center or IT help desk, be perfectly honest. Like, it's just, if you gave the system enough raw information and it was capable enough, there's a lot of jobs today that GPT or Bard or language models or in image generation models today can do as well as a human. Better, but as well. And there was a recent, I don't know how old you are, Chris, but I'm old, so maybe we'll be old together. Good. Do you remember when Deep Blue beat Kasparov?
I do. Yes.
Okay. How many in chat remember when Deep Blue beat Gary Kasparov? This is again when Chris, you were mentioning like
Yeah.
20 years ago. What was in the
30.
space? We there you
Yeah.
go. When IBM's Deep Blue beat chess grand champion, chess grandmaster Gary Kasparov,
Yep.
there was sort of a wave of existential dread that passed through the not a zeitgeist, but yeah, that the collective consciousness
Yeah.
of like, they're smart,
Yep.
the robots are smart, that,
Yep.
and that we all got real scared for
Oh,
a
yeah.
minute, until we realized, oh no, the computers just play really good chess,
Yeah.
and then we gave the computer language problems to solve, and we went, that's so smart. It's just playing chess with words, my guy.
Yep.
So, but if your job is playing chess, that must make you feel nervous.
Yeah.
And so while even now there is no shortage of interest in chess. In fact, I would assert that chess in mainstream is more popular than it has been in decades. It's a solved problem.
Yeah.
No human can beat the world's best computers at chess.
No.
It simply cannot happen. The best computers, or sorry, the best humans have been lapped by computers in chess.
Yeah.
It's now outmoded. We don't have to do that problem anymore. People still do.
Yeah.
So when I make these predictions, I'm making them couched in the context that people still play chess.
Yeah.
In the immediate future, the job market will be less determined by what you know and more determined by how well you get along with other people doing it.
Yep.
It won't be determined by your ability to write code. It'll be determined by your ability to understand how to structure a code project.
Yeah.
And how to structure your thoughts around code. It won't be about who knows the most or even who can do it the best, but who brings the most unique, beneficial human qualities to the table. That is what in the next decades will be differentiating between humans and AI. I don't know when the next revolution is going to happen and when true sentience will be here. That'll be another day. Until then, when we're just tapping at the window of sapience, it's going to be able to replace a lot of jobs. It's going to be able to. Rough estimate, real back of the napkin, rough estimate. 15 on the low end, 25 on the high end, sweet spot 20% of today's jobs in 2023 will be able to be replaced by AI by 2028, 5 years, half a decade.
Just about the time we should be getting flying cars.
Just about.
Yeah.
2028. AI can beat humans at chess. People still play chess. 20% of jobs will be fully, and I mean end-to-end, replaceable in 5 years. You don't need to like sit down and train someone on how to do this. You will just deploy Wendy, the AI reception bot. You will just deploy Wally, the librarian. You will just deploy whatever AI does the task that AIs are now capable of doing.
Yeah.
It's just because you can do it. IBM, a leader in the AI space, made the recent decision to future guard against hiring. They in the future lay off 7,800 positions. And my expectation is that those 7,800 are largely going to be in call centers and are largely going to be like script reading and highly rote tasks. And I said nothing when they came for the rote task doers, because I was not a rote task doer.
Yes. Yep. That is a remarkable reference. I enjoy that. I can't cite it currently, but it is. I know the reference to what you make.
And so I
Yeah.
want to, be sensitive to the fact that, like, there are real humans today whose jobs are being pushed out, whose livelihoods are being threatened by these systems. And I am fully awash in amazement and just I'm into this. I'm here with both feet, but I am wholly sensitive, even as I do it, to the reality of what's happening. And this is going to be the next big change for humans. It's just like the internet was the last big change. Before, we didn't have the internet, and then we did. I remember sitting in my school library listening to the dial-up modem.
Yep.
I remember my very, 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 very first internet.
Yep.
So I remember a life before and a life after.
Yep.
And this is gonna be pretty similar to that. Like, it'll take some adoption. There'll be some growing pains, but at some point in the future, I bet I would put real smart money on the fact that there's going to be a task that you, chat, or you, Chris, have an AI do for you, and you go, "Oh, thank God AI exists." Just like you go, "Oh, thank God I can Google the answer to that question."
Yep.
Like, do I have to worry about this rash?
Yeah.
Or how do I substitute the correct ingredients for a meal that I'm making for friends who will arrive in half an hour? Help, help, AI.
Yep.
Don't worry, boss, I got you. We will wonder what we did without it, but there will be growing pains.
Yeah. Business.
I know what we're doing.
You know what you're doing? You do?
I know what we're doing. I'm gonna get a little dodgy. I'm gonna matrix dodge some of these.
All right, you get all questions. Okay. So a little history on this here. So business has spent well over 2.5 hours enlightening us on the world of AI and all the tools that are available.
I blinked.
Yeah.
I blinked. Where did the time go?
But now comes the part of the show that the originator of the originator, where this came from, the redemption of the conversation starter came from. So back in the day, business, I used to have these things on my stream. People could redeem channel points where we would stop what we were doing and we would pull a random topic out and have a conversation about it. Excellent. And we spent a lot of time together. So I think the most we're going to do on these is maybe 2. But this is where we get to understand business as a person, not business as a function. And of course, we do invite our chat to participate in these discussions. So without further ado, let's grab ourselves a random topic here.
I love a random topic.
I don't know if you can hear
I can't prove that I'm not a function, Chris.
This is true.
My caveat, my disclaimer, my asterisk from now on. Yep. Having seen how good these systems are, man, I can't prove that I'm not one of them. So I'm trying to be humble.
All right, here we go. Ooh. Oh, this is a harsh one. Oh, this hits different. In a movie about your life, who would play your mother and father?
Ooh, that's a great question. That's a really great question.
Let's hold that up for the folks in chat.
So we're lucky we're good. Great relationship with mom and dad. So, like, we're not going to have horror stories. We're not going to do TOS here.
Yeah.
Who would play mom and dad? That's a really great question. If I could, I think I would like Bill Hader.
Okay.
Play dad.
Yep.
Because dad is similarly wacky and zany, but possesses the depth and gravitas to let you know when he's serious.
Okay.
Mom.
And I'm not going to put a limitation on living or passed on at this point.
Okay.
If there's
Okay.
someone from the
Excellent.
past who would do the
Excellent.
perfect trick.
Excellent. Excellent. I think this is a tougher one.
Oh yeah.
This is really tough. Also, because I just don't watch movies, so like actors and actresses, I'm not really up on them as
Yeah.
much. I liked. I don't want to insult my mom by saying Jodie Foster, but like Jodie Foster can play.
Jodie Foster's amazing when she wants to be.
Right.
Contact.
Yes. Jodie Foster.
Yeah. All right.
Because she's got directness and seriousness, but like never. Yeah, Jodie Foster never makes you feel like she's, worried about where things are going. She's always pretty stable. Mom's pretty stable. Jodie Foster vibes.
All right.
Jack Nicholson and Dolly. Hang on a second. Yeah. Just drop Jack Nicholson and Dolly Parton.
Could you imagine that as a couple? That would be berserk.
I literally cannot.
Yeah. It'd be like The Shining, but 9 to 5 pushed together into one weird combination film. Super weird.
Rolled out of bed and
All right. I've been thinking about this while you've been giving, because you get to hear my answer as well.
Sure. Hit me.
So my father would probably have been like Robin Williams.
I was torn on mine to go Robin Williams too. I like it.
Yeah. Now it's funny because my father was one of a set of twins, and my uncle Bernie was definitely more of the Robin Williams, just the Joker or whatnot, and both of them have since shuffled off. They're no longer with us, unfortunately, but that'd probably be a pretty good alignment. But it'd be like Robin Williams from like 1 Hour Photo. Not like Robin Williams from like Aladdin.
Yes.
Yeah.
The grounded Robin Williams when he was showing his range.
Yeah. A little bit sketchy, a little bit, kind of like serial killer vibes.
Oh yeah. And I forgot how creepy he was in 1 Hour Photo.
Oh yeah. And that movie actually had an Ava from Neon Genesis Evangelion in it too. The kid got one for Christmas. It was kind of funny.
Cross thread there.
Yep. Yeah. Little cross thread. Little Cruel Angels thesis for those who know. Mom would be Dame Judi Dench.
It's another really good pick for Mom.
Yep. That's
Jodie Foster, Judi Dench. I like it.
So Mama IT is still with us, as we know. Mama IT, we've talked about her on stream before. Very much a no nonsense person until she just does nonsense, and I think Judi Dench hit those marks pretty well.
Love that.
All right. Anyone else got any more comment on chat on that? Are we good to move on to another one for business here? Because I'm enjoying these.
Send my love to your mother, Chris. Send my love to your mother. I hope she's doing well.
I'll pass it on. She's been asking about you.
Oh, has she? Well.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll call her myself. Hold on.
Bring her up on stream. Make me feel real awkward about it. Quick, ask me more weird questions to diffuse the awkward tension of the moment.
No, we've got some good stuff here. Just custom made for awkwardness. Oh, this one cuts deep. Because it's going to make you look inside, business. Are you ready for that?
I'm ready to look inside.
Let's let the camera render in there. How are you exactly like yourself as a kid? That's not focused.
How am I exactly like myself as a kid?
Yeah, that's probably backwards, actually. Anyway,
this is going to be easy.
Okay.
Easy. I deep dive Really, business memo? Now just go on, just get right out of town and tell us all the ways in which we're going to be surprised by the fact that you deep dive.
Yeah.
Well, would you guys like to? So, yeah. When I was a kid, I remember one of my early teachers had talked to mom, pulled mom aside. She was like, okay, there are two things that are true about your child. He's clever. And he has no chill. I'm paraphrasing. And he, like most people, when they review a subject, will go, huh, oh, that's interesting. Huh, interesting. Oh, neat. Oh, I didn't know that before. Huh, I am walking away with a better summary understanding of that subject. What a pleasant experience for me. I don't. I come up against a subject and I either go, that is boring and uninteresting to me and I will not peruse it in the slightest, or I will go, that is the shiniest thing that I've ever seen and I want to be all about it. Please let me devote the next 4 months of my life to doing nothing but this.
Yep.
And she's like, this, he learns about a subject and he goes, bah!
Yep.
So that's how I'm exactly like myself as a kid. I temper it, but there's a strong desire to just go, that is so interesting. I need to know how you work.
Yeah. I love that.
That's me.
I love it. All right. Shut's got an answer for us here. Self-determination is the only thing that I can compare to me as a kid and now. No matter what it was, if I wanted to do it, I would do it. If I didn't know how, I learned. Pardon me, same as now. Shut. That's an energy, brother. That is an energy.
It's a great energy shot.
That's actually shockingly close to mine. Shockingly close. And I respect the heck out of that too, because it's a skill that serves you. It's actually interesting because my answer falls almost in the same areas as both of yours. I'll qualify that. Let me explain. So I dig into something. If I have a skill set that is absent from my skill set, I learn it. I pick it up. I've taught myself plumbing, electrical, basic carpentry. I was running a chop saw at 11 years old, helping my old man out. Just all sorts of things. I wanted to figure out how to wire up my car and do fun things with car electronics. Figured it out. Wanted to figure out computers. Figured that out reasonably well, I'd say. And there is no sort of skill set that I put my hands on and say, I can't do that. It's too weird. Except one. Music. I cannot for the life of me dance. I can probably cut a rug, but I'm like your drunk uncle at a wedding.
I'm terrible at terrible at dance. I can move my body.
Yeah.
Did years of martial arts and stuff in college. I can move just fine. Physically adept, great.
Yep.
You put me on a dance floor and I just do this.
Yep. Do the shimmy. Yep.
I bite my lip.
Oh, you get the lip bite in there too. Do you like ever do the lasso at all? And like the.
Yeah, this is the extent. You're seeing the encyclopedia of Memo's dance right now. This is it. This is beginning to end, A to Z in one go. So I can't do it. I understand what you mean when you say music.
Sorry, we've got a festive song interrupting our playlist here.
Festive.
Yeah, there we are. Phew. We've solved that. Okay.
Mas, uno mas.
You want another one? All right.
Uno mas.
All right. Okay, we'll do another one. May as well make it an even 3. All right, let's do this up here. Yeah, we can round it out. We can go we'll go to 9 o'clock on that.
I'm for it.
Okay, this is weird because this is almost contradictory.
I love weird.
What we just talked about. Do you ever feel like a completely different person than you were before?
Frequently. And then wow, that's a great question to sort of close on.
Yep.
Because I asked the AI the same thing.
Oh, do elaborate.
In a roundabout sort of way. So this is a really um
You're
I
referencing
thought
conversations, aren't you?
I am.
Nope.
You don't have to share the screen.
No.
Great. I'll read. Um I had the early thought of, ooh, this is a computer. This is an opportunity for permanence. I can put myself here. I can put elements of myself into this and they'll be preserved. And I can build an effigy to
Okay.
myself.
All right.
And I realized that no matter what data I would give the system to train on, no matter what data I train it on,
No.
I will always be seeing a past version of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because today, I know I'm different than I was.
Yeah.
Like I can see an arc. I have a character arc and I'm comfortable with it and it's gone squiggly and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's finite and it's going to end and I'm not okay about that, but I've got to be because, that's what we do.
Yep.
But in all of that, I was talking to the AI and I thought about Percy Bysshe Shelley.
Okay. Yep.
Geeky gamers, have a great
Yep.
evening. I think my favorite short poem of all time, or one of them anyway, is Ozymandias.
Oh, geez. Yep.
I met a traveler from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things. The hand that mocked them, and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal, these words appear. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away."
Man, I love that. If I were to roll the credits right now, I would feel completely acceptable on that.
We are teeny tiny little dots. And fair warning, just like at the top of the stream, this can take you down quite the existential path. But reach out to your fellow monkeys. We're all in this together. And don't try to reach for permanence where there is none. And don't try to assign humanity where there is none. Because it's not. It's all ephemeral. Play the hand you got.
I'll drink to that.
Cheers, mate. So that's how I'm different than I was before.
Wow.
My answer to that question would not have been that way 5 years ago, and it wouldn't have been that way 10 years ago, and it wouldn't have been that way 20 years ago. So there's my arc.
I can't even provide an answer other than to say ditto.
Love you, buddy.
Ditto. All right.
Ditto.
Wait, hold
Cheers
up.
to
Shot's
that.
got an answer here. Yes, I feel that way every day lately. I was always a very confident person. With new upper management, I've been forced to feel unconfident in the things I do and second guess everything due to the way I have been treated over the course of the past 3 years. Shut, like any other situation in your life, if they don't respect you, don't respect them. Get a move on. Don't do that to yourself, brother.
And even in the moment, Shut, that sucks. If those monkeys don't care about you, these monkeys still do. And you should feel confident in the things you know you can do well.
Wow.
You got this, man.
All right. All I was going to say, because the tradition is I have to give my answer too. But I mean, how do I even go up against that? All I'll say is I feel like a completely different person ever since I've been streaming. because honestly, I never would have met y'all. So I have become a new person, a different person, a wonderful person. And it's a lot of fun. So, business, I think with that, we're going to call it a night. This has been a lot of fun. So let me thank you for being the first inaugural. I'm saying inaugural because we're going to do this again. I had a lot of fun. First inaugural conversations with Chris Victim. How did you feel? How does it feel?
I mean, if this is being a victim, just sign me up for more torture, man. This was,
I could see you coming back on the regular here, man. Give us an update of where things are.
You can tell just how uncomfortable I was, and just
yeah, it was a little.
I didn't really like talking to folks in chat either, or being wholesome. None of that really appeals. So maybe we just, next time it comes around, keep me out. Keep me on your list. We'll see.
Oh, crap. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes here, the things I wanted to do. Before we go, anything you want to plug? Anything you want to tell people about? Anything you want to share? This is your chance. This is your chance to fly. Do not throw away your shot.
Oh, I've got nothing except what I've already said. Be good to each other. That's it.
Perfect. All right, business. Have yourself a great evening. I'm going to press that button that I always press at the end of streams. And
you're going to dance to Half an Orange?
We are. I don't think you'll hear it, but I'm going to shimmy.
I'm not going to hear it, but I'm going to dance anyway. It's in my heart.
All right, brother. Thanks again for your time. 3 hours. Couldn't have asked for more. Thanks a lot. All right, folks and friends. That was the inaugural stream of Conversations with Chris. Let me know. Let me know what you thought about it, because I really want to understand if this is something that you liked, if it's something you didn't like, if it's something that smelled funny. You know what to do. Reach out, get on the old Discord, tell me all about it, because I had a hell of a lot of fun doing this, and I gotta, again, pass a huge thanks over to BusinessMemo, Dr. BusinessMemo, for spending 3 hours of time, and a big thank you to Mrs. Memo for handling the bedtime for him. So, thanks a lot, everyone. Have yourselves a fantastic rest of your night, and we'll be talking at you real soon. Be well, folks. Bye-bye.
Friends are like stars, cause no matter how far, when it's dark outside, they will be your light. We'd play Halo, and we'd lay low in our basement until the sun began to rise. We would go to school but not learn too much, cause it's hard to read when you've got tired eyes. Months go by, the time it flies, past the days that we drank Kool-Aid in the summertime.